The surging Cardinals in 4 games with the first place Phillies. The Mets got their offense going on Wednesday afternoon against the Seattle Mariners due to the home run heroics of their 2 young stars.
Well, they got the performance and production from their 2 stars was right. David Wright got his rare off day, made Jerry Manuel look like a genius, hit 2 home runs, 3 RBI, 2 for 3 on the day, and then Jose Reyes busted the game open with a 3-run shot that ended the ball game. Just blew it out 10-0 right there. So Jose needs to come around and hit for this ball club. David Wright needs to hit for this ball club and produce for this team to get on a winning streak during this important stretch.
Well, the Mets will hand the ball this afternoon to Mike Pelfrey. The Mets thought coming out of spring training that starting pitching was going to be a huge asset for them. They didn't necessarily think Pelfrey was going to be in the rotation when the year began. Well, he has not only been in that rotation all year, but he has really stepped front and center lately.
He really has. Jerry Manuel's talked about him being on the world's center stage today when he pitches here in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, but really they have made it into an ABC kind of effort for Pelfrey, throwing about 90% fastballs. He just throws that 4-seamer to the outside part of the plate on right-handers, that 2-seamer inside, and that's where he's been getting his strikeouts. 5 shutout innings in his last start, 5 walks, but also 5 strikeouts.
And Pelfrey will be opposed today by a 31-year-old rookie named Dan Geis, who will make just his 2nd Major League start. So the Mets and Yankees embark on a long day and night of baseball. The Mets wearing their road grays with blue caps. First time in a long, long time. Mets and Yankees in the Bronx. First pitch coming up. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Heineken Premium Light. Heineken Premium Light is proud to present the Subway Showdown on SNY. By IOTV, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? By SkyGuard, the GPS vehicle security system that alerts parents when teens speed. Call 866-99-SkyGuard or visit skyguard.com. By Bud Light, endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming. By Mercury and your local Lincoln Mercury dealers. And by Firestone, a tradition of innovation. Are you ready for the 2008 Major League All-Star Game? Tune in for all the action on Fox, live from New York on July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Here's your Jeep around the majors for today. Matt Garza, a one-hitter for Tampa Bay, struck out 10 as the Rays beat the Marlins 6-1 to complete a sweep. Great day on the mound as well for Cliff Lee, who's now 11-1, 11 strikeouts in 8 innings, and the Indians' 4-1 win over the Giants. And Rich Harden was dominant as well. He struck out 11 over 8 innings as the A's shut out the Phillies 5-0 and took 2 out of 3 in that series, drawing the Mets within 3.5 of the Phils. Start of a long day of baseball starting in the Bronx in the afternoon. We'll move to shade tonight. Mets and Yankees, first of 4. Coming right up. Here's your Geico starting lineup for the Mets this afternoon. Marlon Anderson and Trot Nixon at the corner outfield spots. Carlos Delgado the DH, with Fernando Tatis getting a start at first base. And Luis Castillo in the lineup again today. Jerry Manuel saying that Castillo would play all 4 games in this weekend series.
Well, it's very interesting playing this 2 games against the Yankees. You got pitchers like Dan Geis starting the first game and Sidney Ponson starting the second game. But Dan Geis' 2nd Major League start. 31-year-old rookie. You're going to see a good sinking fastball, a good backdoor slider that he throws.
And the Rico Yankee defense. And we'll just run it right by you here. You see Bobby Abreu, the right fielder. Oh, there's the newcomer right there.
That's Andy Phillips, the former Yankee who just joined the Mets, wearing number 29. And you see, by the way, that the Mets are wearing blue caps with their road uniforms. And if you're saying, well, that looks strange, this is the first time since 1997 that the Mets have worn blue caps on the road. And Charlie Samuels, the Mets equipment manager, said he did it in honor of the Mets' last game ever at Yankee Stadium. First pitch from Geis to Reyes is a breaking ball that is on the outside corner for a strike. And we're underway. Reyes now with 57 runs scored, tied for 4th in the National League. He has been on a run-scoring tear of late. And Geis throws him a fastball and he pulls it foul. 0-2. You were talking about that defense.
There it is. Oh, there. That's brought to you by Rico. And you can see out in left field, Justin Christian just called up his 3rd game as a Yankee. A-Rod didn't play in that last series against the Metsies. He's back in the lineup, nor did Jorge Posada. He is back in the lineup. Wilson Bedeman at first, the old Brave. So we'll see which way this game shakes. And by the way, Gary, I happen to love the blue hat on the road uniform.
Yeah.
I think it is gorgeous.
Well, it's certainly reminiscent of the first year that the Mets played the Yankees in interleague play, which was 1997. As Reyes lays off, did he go? Nope, he held in time. Third base umpire Mike DeMuro with the call.
Well, good call right here. Jose laying off that little off-speed drop there.
I was going to say that Dave Malicki was wearing a blue cap with the gray uniform when he shut out the Yankees in that first ever game. And the breaking ball gets Reyes, and Geis strikes out the first man to face him.
Well, he has an excellent curveball, does Geis. You see him when he pitches from the stretch, not like a traditional starting pitcher, and also has that little delay in his motion, then jumps at you. But curveball is probably his best pitch.
So 1 out and nobody on, and here is Luis Castillo. Castillo's knees have been gimpy. His quad has given him problems. His hip flexor as well. But it seems as though Jerry Manuel pulled a little psychological ploy with Castillo last week. He sat him out 3 out of 4 games, and Castillo had been groaning a little bit about the way he was feeling. Well, all of a sudden, Castillo is looking to play every day.
Yeah, very interesting. When you test the I don't know if you want to use the word manhood, but it's saying to, hey, listen, you want to complain a lot, then if you're complaining, then I'm going to sit you down. Hasn't been a complaint since.
All about professional pride, and Castillo running out there every day now. Geis has gotten ahead of him 0-2. And the fastball misses 1-2. Sometimes you might wait a bit before the call because you've got Tim McClelland umpiring behind the plate today, and Tim generally takes his time. Joe Girardi's team got in late last night. They were scheduled to play in Pittsburgh last night. And, the Mets have been the tired team on occasion over the last few weeks. The Yankees have every excuse to be the tired team today. They eventually got rained out in Pittsburgh, but they didn't call the game until they played 2.5 innings, waited 2.5 hours, and most of the Yankees didn't get to bed till 3 o'clock today. Taken inside, it's 3-2 to Castillo. Now, Geis was supposed to fly home early and went to the Pittsburgh airport to take a 5 o'clock flight back to New York, but they delayed the flight. He then missed the flight, got another flight canceled, and wound up coming home with the team late last night. And it misses inside, ball 4. Castillo's on with a walk.
Very curious right there, Ronnie. I don't know if you noticed. Got ahead away, and what's going on here? Oh, ball's in the field. Tried to come inside 4 straight pitches and missed with 4 straight pitches after an 0-2 count. So as a left-hand hitter, if you're paying attention, and we've seen Reyes strike out on pitches away, Geis his power is right to the outside corner. His command, he maybe has a tough time throwing an inside strike to a lefty. We'll keep an eye on it.
His last start, he did not go to 1-3-2 count there, getting the walk on Castillo.
His first start was against Cincinnati last Saturday. Didn't allow an earned run over 6 2/3, even though he wound up taking the loss. 3 unearned runs against him beat him. So Castillo aboard. Wilson Bateman holds him on. Castillo with 11 steals and 13 tries. And now David Wright, who hit home runs in his first 2 at-bats on Wednesday night against Seattle. And he takes the first pitch inside. Guys thought he would get that call and did not from Tim McClelland.
Oh.
David wearing his spats today.
It's very interesting. It's almost like Tim McClelland tests rookie pitchers to see if they're going to complain. We saw this with Jair Jurgens for the Braves against the Mets at Shea Stadium. McClelland was behind the plate that day.
And how long does that test last?
Well, if you're a smart pitcher, you will just not even look at Tim. You won't talk to Tim, and you hope he comes around at some point.
Mets have already had 1 set 2 with a home plate umpire this week, and that wound up in interesting fashion. Wright takes it inside. It's 2-0. Major League Baseball announcing that Brian Runge would be suspended for 1 game for his bumping of Jerry Manuel earlier last week.
It's nice of him. He apologized, and Brian Runge is one of the good umpires. He knew he made a mistake. I thought it was very big of him to admit it and move on.
Curveball on 2-0, and it's in for a strike to Wright. And that gives you an idea how Geis is going to pitch.
He's the kind of guy that he's going to pitch backwards. When he gets ahead in the count, he'll use his fastball. When he gets behind, he will throw that little slider or changeup.
And Geis, 31 years old. Before this year, he had a cup of coffee with the Giants last season, and that's it. He had been through the Red Sox organization, the Phillies organization, had a good year in AAA with the Phillies in 04, but got off to a bad start in 05, and he quit. He quit and went home, and he was selling cars for a couple of months before he realized maybe baseball wasn't a bad deal after all. Came back and is getting his chance now with the pitching starved Yankees. 2-1 to right, and it's just off the outside corner, and it's 2-2, 3-1.
There's that late call by the McClellan. That was a strike. Watch how late this call is.
He waited till Posada almost elbowed him in the chops.
Yes. So it's 2-2.
2-2 the count. This takes everybody out. Castillo runs the pitch outside. Posada's throw is far too late. Posada's thrown out only 21% this year. And remember, he was on the disabled list for a long time with a shoulder injury.
Well, tough pitch to throw also. That breaking ball down. Jorge Posada, even in his best days, was throwing out runners was not his forte.
But that ball really didn't have a lot of life.
That's right.
And it gives you the impression that the Mets may do a lot of running in this series.
When you're Armstrong, that ball's in center field.
3-2 to right. Breaking ball lined into left field for a base hit. Castillo being waved around third by Luis Aguayo. Here's Christian's throw to the plate. It is not in time. It kicks away, but it hits the bat, and that keeps right at first base. David with an RBI single, his 60th run batted in, and the Mets jump out to a 1-0 lead.
Well, 3-2 hanging curve, and he's lucky he got it in enough where it kind of tied up David. Bit surprised David didn't wind up on second base here on the throw. It's over the cutoff man's head and then shakes loose. And David's still at first. There's a little error in judgment there on David's part.
I think if the ball doesn't hit the bat lying on the ground,
yes,
David probably goes to second.
Well, it's the Coors Light freeze frame. Eyes right on the ball, right, Keith?
Yep. Well, you got to love that. I love that Coors Light freeze frame. It was a freeze cam. I'm thinking of Jay Giles.
That's right.
So here's Carlos Beltran, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
I'm a fan of the Wolf, Peter Wolf.
Beltran hitting a .275. 51 RBIs. He's been on a run batted in tear lately. Let's see if Wright tests Geis and Posada. He's got a very short lead, though. David has not been doing much running this year. And Beltran skies it a mile high into shallow center. Melky Cabrera coming on. And that's the second out. So Beltran flies out. And now Carlos Delgado will bat with 2 out and a runner at first. Carlos serving as the DH in this game. And after a very good road trip to Anaheim and Colorado, he's now 0 for his last 14.
Well, it's just been sputters and stops and starts for Carlos the last, year and a half now.
You know, that being said, Keith, I think a good matchup for him right here. A guy who throws a lot of breaking balls, a lot of balls down in the strike zone. Hasn't proved he can throw fastballs up in the hands area.
And we've talked so much with Carlos over the last weeks and months about approach, about looking away and hitting it away. Well, so far with Geis, you'd have to think you have to look away.
He did not prove at all. Walked Castillo trying to go inside, and see these are the numbers in the last 4 games.
I would almost wonder with Carlos just to get on top of the plate. And when you get on top of the plate, get 1 inch off the plate like Rusty did late in his career and dare them to throw you inside. And if they throw you away, if you're standing up on top of the plate, the barrel of your bat's going to cover the outside corner.
Rusty also choked up.
Yes, he did.
Delgado gets under one to center field, sending Cabrera back, but he's got plenty of room out there, and that'll end the inning. But the Mets fashion a run. Castillo works his way aboard after falling behind 0-2. He walks, steals second, and scores on David Wright's hit. And the Mets hand Mike Pelfrey a 1-0 lead as he takes the mound from the bottom of the first. Here's your forward starting lineup for the Yankees. Melky Cabrera for the 8th time this year hitting leadoff. Wilson Benedict getting the start at first. Jason Giambi DHing in the first game today. Justin Christian filling in for the injured Hideki Matsui, who may well wind up on the disabled list between games today when the Yankees need to make a player move to make room for tonight's starter, Sidney Ponson.
Well, big Mike Pelfrey gets the start for the Mets. Jerry Manuel talked about Pelfrey has been one of his most consistent starters of late. 5 2/3 innings of shutout ball in his last start. Still, though, walks and strikeouts just about the same. When his secondary pitches get better, his strikeouts will go up.
Melky Cabrera leads things off, hitting at .254, and he takes a strike from Pelfrey. Feels like Cabrera's been around a long time. Still only 23.
Yeah.
Switch hitter, better hitter from this side of the plate. And Pelfrey challenges him upstairs, and it's 0-2.
Well, this is the big difference that we've seen in Pelfrey, and that is Mike throwing more fastballs. And Ronnie, you touched on that earlier. Getting ahead.
Fires the fastball outside, and it's 1-2.
It's an interesting choice there, that sinker away. After throwing a ball up in the strike zone, Cabrera tried to offer at it. You think that you'd read that as a pitcher and go back upstairs, even higher.
And he gets him out away with the fastball, and so Pelfrey fans Cabrera for the first out, and he dominated him.
Really did. This is a bad swing.
That's just called chasing after a bad fastball. And the Rico Mets defense, you see Fernando Tatis at first. That's his first start at first base. Trot Nixon's out in right. Marlin gets a start in this first game of the day-night doubleheader out in left. Schneider behind the plate. I'm sure Castro gets the call tonight.
Derek Jeter coming up. You know about that last swing, though? It's a very similar swing that he got against Todd Helton in his last start.
Right. Just late movement.
So here's Jeter, who's got a 13-game hitting streak going. And he takes a knee-high strike. Jeter, who turned 34 years of age yesterday. Pelfrey throwing nothing but strikes early, and his first breaking ball is fouled off.
You can just see a whole different demeanor in Pelfrey.
Yeah.
The way he looks on the mound, confidence. You know, when you're out there every time going out there getting kicked,
yes,
you know, you're not going to have a whole lot of confidence. And confidence comes with success.
There's a calmness, isn't there, to Pelfrey now?
And he's getting swings and misses. It's a different guy. 0-2 to Jeter. And he just missed with that fastball.
Wow. Where was it?
That's what he's thinking right now, Mike Pelfrey. Where was that pitch?
Thank you.
And the scoreboard radar gun had that last pitch at 97 miles an hour. Bobby Abreu on deck. So Pelfrey has come out strong as Jeter fouls off the slider.
Well, that slider almost is like a little cutter. It's not, doesn't have a lot of break on it, a late break.
I talked to Dan Warthen in the clubhouse before the game, too. They're going to start mixing back in Pelfrey's old reliable curveball. So we'll keep an eye on that, too, as this game progresses.
1-2 to Jeter. Struck him out. Mike Pelfrey with back-to-back strikeouts to start his afternoon.
You know, we've seen this the last couple of starts. He'll go fastball sliders away, and when he tries to come in for that strikeout, he'll throw that two-seamer. Look at that ball come right into your camera. Beautiful shot of how that ball sinks and runs in on the hands of Jeter, tying him up.
Yeah, if you're a hitter, it runs right in on your pots and pans. That is wicked.
Well, you know, Pelfrey, after he took those warm-up pitches, he stands behind the mound. You see he's kind of thinking about all the things he has to do in this game, really trying to think about your first pitch process to the first hitter, what you're going to do to get him out.
Now Bobby Abreu hitting at .279. Abreu, 6th in the American League with 50 runs batted in.
Abreu is just, if you're a pitcher and you watch, he never swings at the first pitch in his first at bat unless there's people on base, so you can always just get ahead, but he's something right down the middle.
Instead, Pelfrey falls behind him 2-0.
Well, this is Pelfrey's big test, and it will always be his whole career, Gare, is left-hand hitters. He's got a great hard sinker. Has a difficult time throwing inside the lefties. All 4 of his home runs this year have been given up to left-handed batters, and they're hitting .350 against them. And the Yankees are running up 6 lefties today.
And there's a strike, 2-1. Well, the Yankees are seeing Pelfrey for the first time. This is his first ever appearance against the Yankees. And I think it's interesting that he's facing them at this particular point. I mean, if the Yankees had seen him at a time when he was struggling earlier, it might be a little different than facing him right now when he's feeling the way he's feeling. And Abreu works out a walk. And that'll bring up Alex Rodriguez with a man on. Now you see how Pelfrey has turned his season around from May to June. And it just, you know, it's coincidence probably, but it coincides with him ditching that mouthpiece.
And I also think it coincides with, if you watch both Schneider and Castro, when they catch Pelfrey now, they sit right in the middle of the plate. They don't move, you know, drastically like they do for Pedro from side to side. Just let him throw the ball at them and let the movement bring it to the corners.
Mets didn't see Alex Rodriguez the first 2 games they played against the Yankees. Mets won both those games in dominant fashion. A-Rod, since coming back, has swung the bat well. He's second in the American League in batting, second in the league in slugging percentage. Missed 17 games with a quad injury back in May. Abreu getting back.
We were talking about it before the game. He has just become an offensive machine, robotic in the way he puts up numbers.
Well, he struggled against the Mets when he first came over to the Yankees, but those days have passed. Fouls that one off his leg. He's hit 7 home runs in his last 8 games against the Mets. Look at that. The first 19 games against the Mets, no home runs and only 8 RBIs, but that's gone now.
Yeah. Sooner or later he's going to get you, and he'll get you too. Jason Giambi on deck having a fine year.
Looks like Wyatt Earp with that mustache.
I was going to say, looks like he should be playing for the Swingin' A's back in the day. His little handlebar at the corner of that mustache is all. Ray will sneak a base on you every now and again. He's got 9 steals for the year. That's got Pelfrey a run in the top of the first on a David Wright RBI single. Pelfrey fanned the first 2 batters here in the first before walking Abreu. 1-1 to A-Rod, and he moves him back 2-1.
You know, the Mets defense that you were talking about it, Keith, Marlon Anderson on the left, should not be as much of a liability in that big left field because Pelfrey's more of a ground ball pitcher than the most of the Mets staff, which is a fly ball staff.
And of course you also have all those left-handed bats in the Yankee lineup. There goes Abreu, and A-Rod fouls it off.
Well, here's the jump. Let's see. Decent jump.
There has been only 1 stolen base this year with Pelfrey on the mound. 1 stolen base in 14 starts. Mets have done a great job this year of controlling the opponent's running game.
Well, he's fairly quick home for a big guy.
He is. He doesn't have the slide step, but like you said, he's probably in that 1-2 range, which is pretty good. 1-5 and you're in trouble.
And Schneider has thrown out 44% this year.
Sinker in, 2-1.
Grounded foul.
It's Bobby Meacham, the third base coach for the Yanks.
Whenever you see Bobby Meacham, what do you think about? I always think about him getting thrown out at home.
Him and Dale Barrett.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 2 runners getting thrown out at home.
Tagged out by Carlton Fisk. 85 of them.
Yes.
That was the play everybody evoked when the Dodgers had the 2 guys thrown out of the plate in the playoffs 2 years ago. Back to first is Abreu. Tatis got the tag on the back just a shade too late.
You saw Schneider there with the forefinger and pinky. Then the sign, that was a sign to throw over to first base. If you wanted him to throw to second or to third for a pickoff, he'd do that sign and then do to 1.
2-2, and A-Rod pops it up. Castillo retreating, Beltran coming on, and Castillo can't make the play. Abreu pulls into third, and Alex Rodriguez is aboard. Castillo almost was able to make that over-the-shoulder catch, but couldn't quite pull it off.
Well, he hustled out here after this ball. Long way to run and just out of his reach. You'd like a wide receiver running a long bomb here on this pop-up over your head, and just off the tip of his glove. And with 2 outs, Abreu's going to be running, but he just kind of got it in third gear there, doesn't he? I don't think he would have scored on that if Beltran had it backed up.
That would be 3 out of 5. Third gear, or
3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5?
Fifth gear.
Oh, there you go.
5 gears in third, so you're really downshifting.
It's like your old Corvette.
It wasn't a compliment.
I used to have an old 3-speed, so I was just checking. A little Vega.
Oh gosh, you had a Vega?
I did.
Oh, awful.
Got it to California back one summer. Here's Jason Giambi DHing today, 1st and 3rd and 2 out, and he takes the changeup for a strike. Giambi with 17 home runs, tied for 2nd in the American League, and he has, after a slow start, really torn it up since the early part of May. Abreu at 3rd. A-Rod, who got credit for a base hit, is on at 1st. Mets with a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 1st inning. That mustache is really a thing of beauty, huh?
I'm a little partial to him myself.
I think you got them all beat. There goes A-Rod, and Giambi fouls it off. So Alex Rodriguez was on the move.
I kind of question Alex stealing here. It's just he's got a huge jump here. There he started. He's going to start before, so that's a great jump. But you got to pull hitting Giambi up here. I would want to leave that hole for him.
Agreed.
So now with 1st and 3rd and 2 out, it's 0-2 to Giambi. Pelfrey about to throw his 23rd pitch of this 1st inning. Just inside. 1-2.
No, if you're going to miss with that pitch, Ron, miss in like that, that gets a hitter's attention.
It really does. That's a good pitch by Pelfrey right there. Fastball in. If you miss inside, which he did.
Beautiful.
Now this sets up that sinker away. You can go double up fastball in. You can throw a changeup like he did to the first pitch to Giambi.
1-2 to Giambi, and he comes inside again with a slider this time, and it's 2-2. Jorge Posada waiting on deck. The Yankees had neither A-Rod nor Posada those first 2 games that these 2 teams played, and we said at the time that the Yankees would probably be anxious to push this game back so they'd have those 2 guys back when they made it up. Well, sure enough. And A-Rod diving back.
Well, I think A-Rod now is going to hopefully wait for a 3-2 count to get moving.
See Giambi trailing only Josh Hamilton in the American League home run race. Big surprise in there is Carlos Quentin.
Yeah.
Came over from Arizona to the White Sox, is having a terrific year. 25th pitch of the inning for Pelfrey. 2-2 to Giambi. Broken by Looper into shallow left for a base hit, and it ties the game. Abreu scores. A-Rod heads for 3rd. Anderson's throw arrives too late. Now Pelfrey shattered Giambi's bat. Nonetheless, he drives in his 45th run to tie the game at 1.
Well, a good pitch by Pelfrey here. Watch the sink away. That's a good pitch off the end of the bat, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And in this case, unfortunate for the Mets, unfortunate for Pelfrey.
Oh, it all goes back to the 2-out walk to Abreu, a pop fly single by A-Rod, a broken bat single for Giambi, and that walk becomes a run.
And I think that's why pitching coach Dan Worthen is going out, because sometimes a young pitcher, you're startled, you're giving up this run, and you say, how did this happen with these blue pits? The pitching coach will come out and say, hey, listen, you've got good stuff today. Don't worry about it. That was 2 blue pits. Let it pass. Let's get this out and get us back in the dugout.
Absolutely. 2 outs all the way, going 1st to 3rd. Oh. Well, both runs are via the walk.
Dan Geist walked Luis Castillo. He stole a base and scored on David Wright's hit. Abreu walked with 2 out, and 2 soft hits off Pelfrey have brought him home. Now Jorge Posada has had just 111 at-bats this year because of his shoulder injury, and he swings and misses at the first pitch fastball out of the strike zone. Posada had a huge offensive year last year, and his loss really hurt the Yankees. one to Posada, who is a rare catcher of advanced age who seems to have retained his offensive skills.
Yeah, he really has. In fact, last year was his best year offensively. And people always talk about the captain, Derek Jeter, being the kind of foundation for this Yankee team. I always have thought that Posada, especially recently, is that foundation now.
Now 36 years old, and he fouls it back. And again, Pelfrey's ahead in the count.
Very much like Varitek for the Red Sox. I think they both are the foundations of their teams. Play tough players.
Posada with that back foot clearly out of the batter's box.
I mean, you can make a gripe on that.
1-2. Giambi runs, struck him out. The inning is over. Pelfrey fans 3 in the inning, but in between, a walk and a couple of soft hits produce a run for the Yankees. A-Rod's pop up just beyond Castillo's reach. Giambi shatters his bat and dumps one into left for a tying hit, and it's 1-1 as we go to the second. The CW11 Morning News. Get the latest news from around the world to around your corner, plus up-to-the-minute traffic and transit reports with CommuterCast and a weather forecast you can plan your day around. The CW11 Morning News, weekdays from 5 to 9 a.m. Trot Nixon has plenty of experience playing here at Yankee Stadium. When he takes a strike, well, so does he. Yogi Berra on hand here at Yankee Stadium. A Yankee icon.
Ball players just can't stay away, can they?
Nobody's more identified with Yankee success than Yogi.
You ever spent any time around Yogi?
He is so much fun to be with.
Fantastic.
Good guy.
Yep. Solid. He grew up in St. Louis, didn't he? With Joe Gargiola?
On the hill in St. Louis. Nixon struggling with the bat, and he pulls one down to first base. Tough hop. Bedemit stays with it. And Nixon retired one away. Nixon has really struggled. I mean,
he's been out in front here.
He's had 28 at bats now, and I can only think of a couple of balls he's hit hard.
He has been way out in front. The last series against Seattle, the games that he started in, he's hitting balls way into foul territory.
Almost as though he's worried about the quickness of his bat at this point. Trying to cheat a little bit.
Cheat a little bit inside.
There's Marlon Anderson taking all the way, and it's ball one. Marlon playing left field in this game. And Anderson hitting just 198. Dan Geis, the rare starting pitcher, pitching from the stretch. We saw that earlier this year.
Yeah, with Nelson Figueroa for the Mets. He pitched from the stretch also. The guys who do this are the guys that are almost career minor leaguers who get shuttled back and forth from the starting rotation into relief. And they just figured to keep their mechanics, if they're going to be moved back and forth, they might as well just do it one way, and they do it from the stretch.
Well, in Geis's case, before this season, he had made 374 appearances in the minors and 8 in the big leagues, all in relief. This is only the second start of his professional career. His first was against the Reds last Saturday, and he walks Anderson to give the Mets a one-out base run.
Well, you said that he retired and went to sell cars, sell Hondas, in fact, in Anaheim where he lives. And what happened is during the winter, he went to help other minor leaguers get ready, so he was pitching to them. And they said, you got to go back. Your stuff is good enough to be a major leaguer. And they really, those minor leaguers got him to go back again.
There's Fernando Tatis playing first base in this game, as the Mets continue to rely in their starting lineup on backup players. Now, the good news is they could have Ryan Church back as soon as Sunday. Church played for Brooklyn last night, played 5 innings, got 3 hits, felt a little sore afterward. Ryan will play again tonight. Jerry Manuel said he will not think about activating Church tomorrow because Andy Pettit, the left-hander, is going, but that there is at least an outside chance that Ryan will play in the last game of this series Sunday. Tatis bounces one foul, 0-2.
Ronnie, you notice that from Geis when he goes into his stretch and he breaks from the stretch, how he double taps his glove?
Double taps, and he has that little delay and then kind of just jumps at the hitter.
And you can see it right here. This is a great angle for you folks at home. Just watch his pitching hand as he comes out of the glove from the belt. Be patient.
Of course, not obliging.
A little like Maddox in the way he takes his stretch.
Very, very good call, Gary. It's almost like a timing device for him to deliver the ball to the plate.
Well, he didn't do it that time. And you got to wonder if that's a tip.
That's interesting.
You got to keep an eye and see if that's a tip off. It is a lot like Maddox, that is for sure.
Well, if he's going to copy someone, might as well copy that.
Yep. Except that one thing Maddox doesn't do very well, he doesn't hold runners. And Anderson's running, and Tatis grounds one toward the hole. Beautiful play by A-Rod, but no chance to throw him out. Anderson goes to third. With Marlin running, A-Rod probably should have held onto that ball because Anderson was able to take third base after the belated throw.
Well, you're absolutely right. Nice play. He can't get the exchange. And I just think if he gets it out of his glove cleanly, he makes the play. But you're right. Once he fumbled it, and Anderson just excellent base running here. And Marlin just continues to do a little bit of everything, doesn't he, when he gets a start and gets a chance to get in there?
The play for A-Rod was a fake. If he could have faked it once he dove, he should have known maybe I can't get the guy at first, and we faked that throw, and he would have had Anderson off second base.
So it's an infield hit for Tatis. Anderson goes first to third, and now a chance for Brian Schneider to untie this game. Schneider hitting a .260. And he takes the breaking ball for a strike.
It's like a big drop, isn't it, Ronnie? 12-6.
It is, and it's interesting to hear here at Yankee Stadium. You have the battle between Let's Go Yankees and Let's Go Mets. Very interesting.
And much as was the case the first time the Mets were here, it feels almost like a 50-50 environment. Schneider out in front, it's 0-2. And Marlon Anderson, as that pitch was thrown, made a huge break down the line from third. This is what makes these games so special. And 2 to Schneider. Needs to make some contact here. And he lifts it to shallow left center. Jeter out. No chance for Anderson to score, and that's the second out. So Schneider unable to get the run home, and now they're at 2 away.
Well, they gave Schneider there a steady diet of all-speed breaking stuff. He struck out Jose Reyes the first time around to lead off the game on a steady diet of off-speed breaking stuff. We'll see how he attacks Jose in this at-bat.
You know, we were talking about it before, Gary, Keith. Also, when the Mets play in these interleague games, and with the injuries that they have, and they have to add an extra hitter to the lineup, it's just the advantage Yankees.
Well, you look at the Yankee line, the Met lineup today, 6 through 9. You've got Nixon, who was in the minor leagues until a week or so ago. Anderson, who's a career backup. Tatis, who's been out of baseball for a few years, and Schneider, your catcher. I mean, that's not a very imposing 6 through 9. And, you know, with Delgado's struggles, you can really say 5 through 9.
Yeah.
So the Mets are ever more reliant on the top part of their batting order.
Well, it's a good breaking ball here, especially first pitch. That's really what you just want to get over for a strike. Jose swinging through it.
Anderson at third, Tatis at first with 2 down. 1-1 game. We're in the second. And Reyes takes the breaking ball. It's a little low.
And his first at bat, Jose swung at 2 of those bait breaking balls in the dirt. Laid off this one. And there's your difference. You know, you're 1-1 instead of 0-2. It's so critical to have a good knowledge of the strike zone.
Reyes hit a 3-run homer on Wednesday on a slider. Now has 34 runs batted in out of the leadoff spot. Goes the other way and fouls it off.
You know, before last game, too, Jerry Manuel talked about that his club is a bad offensive club right now. And the reason he said that is he thought that his Met hitters were getting themselves out, that they were swinging at pitches out of the strike zone.
Even in the game on Wednesday, when they scored 8 runs, they didn't have a base runner after the 3rd inning. facing a 31-year-old rookie making just the second start of his professional career and trying to make some hay. But Geis ahead on Reyes 1-2 when he steps off.
You got to say, Geis is definitely a breaking ball pitcher.
Yeah.
Reyes taps it right back to Geis. He gets himself out of a jam. A walk, an infield hit, and 2 left. Middle of the second in the Bronx. The Mets' last ever game at this Yankee Stadium. Game tied at 1. Hey, it's time for our Dodge Ask the Booth. Keith and Ron, Mark from Oceanside wants to know, do you wish they had had interleague games during your playing career?
Right, first of all, where's Oceanside?
Long Island.
Oh, okay.
South Shore.
I just want to make sure.
It really is near the ocean, just so you know.
Oh, that's where Russ is from. Okay.
Russ, our stage manager.
I would have liked it, to be honest with you. Only if it was one series at Yankee Stadium and one series at Shea and then get back into it. That's it. Not the other stuff.
Robinson Cano, who has been hot the last couple of days, takes a ball 1-1.
You know, I think for us it would have been interesting because a lot of our strength was our pitching, and the Yankees at that time had some really good hitters. Don Mattingly, one of the best in baseball at that time. Dave Winfield.
Cano lines with a left center, base hit. Beltran does a great job cutting it off in the gap. Cano heading for second, and he arrives safely with a double. So Cano, who had 3 hits Tuesday, 3 hits Wednesday, just starting to get his hitting going.
Well, this is your approach as a left-hand hitter. If you're not a Giambi, a power-hitting pull hitter. But if you're a doubles hitter, this has got to be your approach off of Pelfrey. Wait for that sinker. That is a good sinker, down and away, and he goes right with it and drives it into the left center field gap, and hustles nicely for the 2.
And if you're pitching in this game and you're Pelfrey and you've already given up a hit to Giambi on a perfect sinker, given up a hit to Cano on a pretty good sinker, it lets you know that these left-handed hitters are looking out over the plate. You're going to have to do some work inside.
Here's the switch-hitting Wilson Bedimit playing first base in this game, and he takes wide with a sinker. Bedimit hitting at .254. He was hurt also when the Mets were here in May. The former Atlanta Brave. Very good utility player. He's got some power. 3 home runs this year. And that's in for a strike, 1-1. I just want to go back to the question about interleague play and just differentiate between Mets, Yankees, and interleague play as a whole. I mean, would you have wanted to play the Seattles and the Minnesotas and the Kansas Cities?
No way.
Nope.
Just wanted to make that clear.
I feel it should just be 3-3 and 4-4. Get it over with. Get back in your own league.
The only problem with that is that you have some teams out there that don't have really a natural rival.
But you match them up with somebody and you create that.
Okay.
I mean, there are going to be leftover teams. So you're absolutely right. But for the teams that have them, the Chicagos, the Southern Californias, the Northern Californias, that's the good part of interleague play.
Yes.
2-2 to Bandimit. It was interesting listening to Jerry Manuel, who managed the White Sox, talk about the difference between that rivalry, the Cubs-White Sox, as opposed to this rivalry. He said the Chicago games were kind of like a backyard brawl. He said this is like a world stage.
Well, in our day, it was different also for you folks at home because guys did not change teams as much. You know, you would be a traditional National League player for your entire career.
Bandimit down looking, and that's the first out of the inning.
Beautiful backdoor slider, RJ.
Yeah, this is when Pelfrey, we talked about his secondary pitches. When he starts to get them over, you see Brian Schneider shaking his head. Yes, that's a good one right there, right on the corner. As his secondary pitches get better, he'll strike out more.
Could Tim McClellan wait a little longer before telling people it's a strike?
You know, he's only doing it to irritate you. You know that.
And everybody else in the ballpark. There are 56,000 people who don't know whether it's a ball or a strike. Here is Justin Christian playing his 3rd major league game. What would be the odds that the Yankees, in the same game in which they are starting a 31-year-old rookie, would have a 28-year-old rookie playing left field? Christian is a guy who started out in the Frontier League. Grounded out to Castillo, and he throws out Christian as Cano moves over to third. Now there are 2 out.
Second fielder, Melky Cabrera.
Here's Melky Cabrera, who struck out his first time up.
Well, if you're Pelfrey right here, you've got to say to yourself, I've got to get Cabrera out. You do not want to go to the next guy, Jeter, who just owns the Mets, always seems to get that big hit.
He dominated Cabrera his first time up. This time starts him off with a slider. Threw fastballs by Melky in that first at bat. Melky Cabrera, not exactly your ideal leadoff hitter, with a .317 on base percentage. Lifts this one to left field, and Anderson is right there to grab it and end the inning. Leadoff double for Robinson Cano, but he is stranded at third. The famous corner of 161st and River, right under the subway L. 1-1 as we go to the third. Fans, your favorite show is back on the CW11, and you get to pick the episodes you watch. Just visit CW11.com each week and vote for the 2 episodes you want to see. The top 2 vote getters will air every Sunday night in the Honeymooners Viewer Choice Hour on the CW11. Luis Castillo leads off the third. Mike Pelfrey getting debriefed after that last inning. And Brian Schneider doing most of the talking. Castillo walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the first.
Wonder what this guy's arm must feel like after every game. I mean, breaking ball after breaking ball after breaking ball.
Reminds me of Steve Stone saying that the year he won 22 games, he said, I knew I could throw as many curveballs as I had to because I'd never be able to pitch again.
He had a good one, didn't he, Keith? Stone?
Yes, he did. I remember when he came up with the Giants. There's that tapping again, Ronnie.
Yeah.
And that was the fastball for a strike.
It's curious if it's a particular pitch that he does that.
Well, the last time he didn't tap and threw a fastball.
Yeah,
I know. So you're right. Right when he breaks from the glove. Jeez. Every time we want to watch closely, now he steps off.
Come on, Dan.
Conspiracy theory.
There he tapped again. And there was a changeup.
Yeah, so he does the same thing.
Yeah, it just there's nothing you can get any kind of a read on.
Just that little tap that Keith called, tapping the glove and go.
Maybe it's just the difference between a Civic and an Element. Right back up the middle, and a base hit for Castillo. So Louis aboard for the second time. Mets have the leadoff man on for the first time in the game, and David Wright coming up. By the way, Guy said he was not very good at selling cars. He said in 2 months he's sold only about 5 cars because he said, I'm just too honest.
Told him we don't want to buy this car. This is a lousy car.
It's horrible.
So Castillo, who stole a base first time he got aboard, is on again, and we'll see what Geist does here with Wright at the plate.
Nope.
And the breaking ball in for a strike.
I don't see any pattern on any particular pitch or that he taps, or maybe he'll be less inclined to tap with a stolen base threat on base. I don't know why he does it sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't.
Castillo's stolen base was his 12th of the year. A pitch out. Throw to first by Pausada, and back is Castillo.
I just keep looking down that Met dugout. I just love the blue hat. I'm going to tell Charlie after the game that they're going to keep him in blues. That is just good looking.
Well, if they win today, You might see him in St. Louis. 1-1 to right, and David swings and misses at the fastball. 1-2. David drove in his 60th run of the year in the first inning. He's now 5th in the National League in RBIs and just 6 runs batted in off the lead. Adrian Gonzalez has 66 to lead the National League.
Well, we mentioned it, Gary, in a couple broadcasts ago that if David was having a David Wright normal season, hitting in the high 300s, he might get 80. He might have 80 RBIs at the break.
Yeah. Well, he's got 14 home runs, 60 RBIs, and we haven't reached the halfway point of the season. Those numbers are more than respectable. The guy's paying a lot of attention to Castillo after he swiped one in the first.
Castillo's trying to get a big lead and peek in. The catcher must not allow that to happen.
Castillo with a healthy lead, but able to get back in standing, and the fans are getting a little restless.
Well, there's 2 things that a catcher can do. He's got to make sure he doesn't put his fingers down too low where you can read underneath his thigh, and also he's got to bring his squat position. He's got to bring his knees in closer together so no one can cut the angle off.
Castillo runs right, fouls it back. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Are there some guys, base runners, who say that they can read the muscles twitching in a guy's forearm when he puts down a sign?
Lance Parrish, who used to catch for the Philadelphia Phillies in the 80s, he was so muscular that when he would call a changeup on the day games and he would not have the sleeves on, you could see his muscles ripple in his forearm, and that's how I remember Wally Backman and Lenny Dykstra. That's how they read changeup when the Philadelphia pitchers were throwing.
Why didn't you tell me?
You don't run. You don't run.
He might have gotten a couple of bags. Not going, and right fouls another one back. 87-mile-an-hour fastball. Carlos Beltran to follow.
Well, this is such a. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gary.
No, go ahead.
No, just a typical at bat from David here, fighting off a couple tough pitches, staying in the at bat. But
I was just going to say, we talk about pitch counts all the time, and Geis has already thrown 49 with nobody out in the third. But what about all those throws to first? Don't those factor in at some point? David pulls one foul.
It depends. If you are a pitcher who has a good move, I think yes. You know, that quick move and that violent throw to first base, I think yes, it can affect you. If you don't have a good move, it's not going to be a problem because you're usually going to be throwing over there half-heartedly. But I do know that I try to remind myself, and I had a pretty decent move, that after throwing 3 or 4 in a row, to forget about that and concentrate on the hitter.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Wright, who's been behind in the count. And fouling balls off.
Rick Peterson, when he was here as the pitching coach, they would chart all the pitches that guys threw in warm-up. They chart all the pitches that relievers would throw to get ready for whether they're going to go in or not.
Castillo runs, and the ball gets away from Posada, and Castillo was sliding into second, so no chance to advance. Second stolen base of the game for Castillo, his 13th of the year.
We almost feel like there's just Geis hasn't got a pitch to get David Wright out with. He's just kind of hoping they'll swing a bad one. And there Posada didn't block because the runner was in motion.
Now, as a catcher there, he's trying to pick that up on a short hop to make a throw, but once that ball hits the dirt, he's not throwing him out anyway, is he?
He might have a shot. The problem is if Wright swings through that.
And now it's 3-2 to Wright as Posada blocks that one.
You know what I'm saying? If it's a 2-2 count, and let's say Wright swings at that and he lets that bounce to the backstop, that's the problem. Usually you'd want a guy maybe to get his body in front of him and block it. Girardi, I'm sure, former catcher, he'll know what to say. See Posada directing his defense on where to play, pushing Melky Cabrera a little deeper.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. Cabrera is still playing pretty shallow against Wright. And David hits it that way to right center. Cabrera gets over. Castillo can tag at second. Cabrera's got it. Castillo not running. It's a little surprising.
He could have forced the issue there, Gare. As a runner, and you don't know how his legs feel today. If you can see Melky right there.
But, you know, Keith, he has a couple of stolen bases. The interesting part for me is Melky waves off Abreu.
It's Abreu's ball. Look at Abreu. A very good point, Ronnie. That is an excellent point because Abreu's in a position to come in with his momentum going to third for the throw.
And Abreu's got a better arm.
Yes. So watch this now. He's waving him off. His momentum is still carrying him towards this direction. So he's got to plant and take all that time, and I think that Castillo could have tagged up and made it easily.
Now Beltran with Castillo still at second, and he lines one down the right field line. That's a foul ball. Just barely missed an extra base hit.
Those are the kind of ones you watch and you're blowing them foul. Get foul.
Leasing that ball.
I just don't know how long Geis is going to hang around here throwing this stuff up here, Ronnie. Sooner or later, the Mets got to catch on to this.
Fastball away, and it's 1-1 to Beltran, who flied to center his first time up.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anything that's going to fool you. And these are the kind of guys, as a manager, Joe Girardi probably hoping just to get 5 and then get in the bullpen.
The Yankees are treading water with their starting pitching right now as Beltran lifts one down the left field side, foul and out of play.
Not a lot of foul territory here at Yankee Stadium. A lot behind home plate, but further you get down the lines, you can see, boy, it's a hitter's haven there.
The Yankees are relying very heavily right now on Mike Messina, who last night pitched 2 innings and got rained out. That's a real killer for their staff right now. Chen-Ming Wang out till September. Philip Hughes out till August. Carl Pavano maybe will be back in August, although who would ever count on that? They hope to have Ian Kennedy back fairly soon. He's out on rehab, but they are so short-handed in their starting pitching right now. They're going to activate Sidney Ponson to pitch tonight, and there's already speculation around that the Yankees might be interested in picking up Sean Chacon, who got released by the Astros for grabbing his general manager by the neck and throwing him to the ground. So watch out, Brian. Don't let him get you.
Well, he's pitched here before, Sean Chacon. So I think that when you look at the Yankee pitching, it was interesting in last night's game.
1-2 to Beltran, and that just missed.
That Mussina started that game because Joe Girardi early in the year had Ian Kennedy, who was going to start a game. Threat of rain. He went with a bullpen person first, and then went to the pitcher. Surprised he didn't do that with last night's game with a threat of rain. He would have had Mussina for tonight's game or this afternoon's.
If they restarted that game, Geis was going to come on in relief. I don't know who would have started, and Beltran rockets one to deep right field. Back to the wall. It's out of here. Beltran with a 2-run homer. His 12th home run of the year, and it's 3-1 Mets. That short porch in right field, whispering to Carlos Beltran, and he finds it to give the Mets a 3-1 lead.
Well, that short porch to a pitcher like Geis to left-hand hitters is a little bit difficult to negotiate. And this is a breaking ball meant to be away, but it had too much of the plate. And Geis just has to be very, very fine with his pitches. He's not a guy that can make mistakes. First home run Geis has given up for the Yankees. And it's taken for a strike by Delgado. And you can see Delgado coming back with the glove and right on the barrel of the bat, and that's your Coors Light freeze cam. Boy, I love that freeze cam.
Well, Geis got a picture of that on the first pitch curveball that Carlos pulled foul. Hard. Went back to that pitch.
1-1 to Delgado, who flied to center his first time. So Beltran now with 12 home runs, and he's got 53 RBIs. And we're not yet halfway through the season. So the two big guys in the Mets order, Wright and Beltran, both on a pace for well more than 100 runs batted in what feels like a down year for both of them.
And that's what makes this big guy in your lineup, Delgado, disturbing, because he's on a pace for maybe 20 and 75.
And he hits one foul out to the upper deck down the right field side.
Oh, look at this.
Brothers?
Does that happen a lot in this town? That one brother loves the Mets and one loves the Yankees, or usually it's one team family, right?
You know, it goes every which way.
Oh, it does. Okay. Because I know your father was a Yankee fan, right?
My mother was a Giants fan. 2-2. Popped up foul. First base side. Batted it over near the photo box. But it's beyond his reach on the dugout roof.
Well, where I'm from, you only root for whatever team's in season. So summer is for the Red Sox. Winters, of course, for the Bruins and Celtics. And of course, the Patriots have done pretty well lately.
That's why in that part of the world, it's a nation.
That's right.
It's not a civil war like it is in New York. Everybody's very happy.
Yeah, they're on the same page.
They're happy now. 2-2, swing and a miss. He struck him out. Geis with his second strikeout. I mean, all is well in New England, right?
Titletown. Good curveball down. This is the pitch that he was really trying to throw to Beltran. He wanted that ball in the dirt.
That's an interesting look.
I saw a guy come to the stadium today. He had a jacket on, you know, those sort of warm-up jackets, and half of it was a Yankee and half of it was a Met jacket.
That's just not right. That's just not right. Cats and dogs playing together. That's just not right. Here's Nixon, who grounded out to first his first time up. I mean, you can see that in Northern California with the A's and the Giants with the split caps like they had in the '89 series. That just doesn't play here. I'm sorry.
Make a decision.
Exactly. Take a stand. Let your heart pour out. Nixon lines one. Foul. 1-1.
It's interesting, these moves that have been made recently by Omar with 66 pitches so far for Geis, only in the third inning. You know, Trot Nixon is Omar. Trot Nixon and now Andy Phillips just trying to get some kind of production from the minor leagues.
See Omar staying in uniform with the blue cap on the road. 2-1 to Nixon. Well, the Mets are going to have to make a decision when they activate Ryan Church, whenever that is, Sunday, Monday. And you know, all those guys are on the bubble. Nixon was the last guy in before Phillips, so have to figure out who goes. There's Andy Phillips. Nixon lifts one to right, and Abreu in a few strides to get it. But the Mets grab the lead in the top of the third inning. Leadoff hit for Castillo, and Carlos Beltran rockets a 2-run homer, his 12th of the year, and gives the Mets and Mike Pelfrey a 3-1 lead. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Tonight at Shea, tomorrow at Shea, Sunday at Shea, Mets and Yankees, and then 4 in St. Louis and 4 in Philadelphia. And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66. WFAN. Derek Jeter lines the first pitch at the bottom of the third into the right field corner. The throw arrives too late for Nixon, and Jeter has his 14th double of the year, and he now has a 14-game hitting streak.
Well, we've seen Jeter do this so much, so many times. He stays level on that high ball. You never want to pitch Jeter upstairs. It's one guy, you've got to keep it down. Now watch. Ball's coming in. Look at him drive it the other way. It's a ball he could have pulled. He's going that way. Stays level. That's his 400th career double. Wow, congratulations. What a player.
Derek Jeter turned 34 yesterday. Well, that's very nice. Very, very nice. Bobby Abreu coming up. Jeter turned 34 yesterday. He now has 2,439 hits. That's the most hits for any player turning 34 since Robin Yount had 2585 in 1989. So Jeter looks like a pretty fair bet to get to 3,000. Then the question is, how far beyond that can he go?
And Robin Yount came up at 19, correct?
As a shortstop.
18,
right.
There's Abreu, who walked and scored in the first inning. And he lifts one to left. Marlon Anderson drifting back. Lots of room out there. And he makes the catch. Jeter tagging and heading for third. Anderson throw too late. Jeter saw that Anderson caught it back on his heels, and he tags and takes third on the fly ball to left.
Well, there's been talk lately of Derek Jeter being one of the most overrated players in the game, and that is the biggest bunch of baloney I've ever heard. This man can play every facet of the game. It's a big left field. He knows it's not going to go against the wall. It's going to be caught. So he gets back quickly, and then his decision is, well, do I have time to go to third? He sees Marlin drifting. He's not an outfielder. That's just good base running.
It's knowing the players.
Yes, knowing where the outfielders are, knowing the players, knowing who has a strong arm or not.
A-Rod takes the fastball inside. Rodriguez singled the center his first time up, a pop fly that was just beyond Castillo's reach. The Mets have the infield back with a 2-run lead. They're ready to concede a run on a ground ball, happily with A-Rod up. What you don't want is the 2-run homer. And Pelfrey keeps it away from him, and it's 2-0. Speaking of home runs, Mike Pelfrey in his career has allowed only 2 home runs to right-hand batters. One in 2006 to Hanley Ramirez, and one last year to Austin Kearns, and that's it.
Wow.
Now he's behind on A-Rod 3-0.
Well, would you give A-Rod a hit sign here?
He'll give himself the hit sign if he wants it.
What a player A-Rod is. Jeez, what a year he had last year.
Takes a 3-0 fastball for a strike. How many hits and home runs is he going to have?
Well, the only thing you can do as a pitcher here is you want to keep the ball down and away, try to use the big part of the park if you can, which is left center field.
3-1 to A-Rod, a line to short, past Jeter, base hit. Jeter comes in to score. Reyes couldn't handle the hot shot by A-Rod, and it's 3-2.
Well, they're going to come with the sinker down and in. Not a bad pitch. He just got the barrel through. Ball ripped right by Reyes. That'll make your starter very happy.
So Alex Rodriguez drives in his 42nd run, and the Met lead is 3-2. Now Jason Giambi, who broke his bat and flared a single to left to drive in a run in the first. And Reyes is a little unhappy with himself. He thought he should have knocked that ball down.
Well, it was ripped, and you know, you can sacrifice your body. That's what you'd have to do to really make that play, is just block it almost like a catcher, Gary.
Be nice if you had a chest protector.
Yeah.
Well, here it is, a great angle right here. Let's see Reyes. Well, he got a very late break on that ball, and I've noticed that from Jose around the last 6 weeks, Gary, that he is not getting the jumps on balls that he used to. And that ball was a rocket, but you saw the late reaction to it.
Now, do you think that that's being prepared, being on your toes?
Well, that's interesting you say that, because that's where the problem lies. The problem lies is that you're taught since you're a small boy to be in ready position when the ball's delivered to the plate. Jose is more of an infielder who just stands up and kind of reacts from there instead of getting in that low Buddy Harrelson ready for the ball position.
Most infielders, Gary, as the pitcher breaks from the belt or starts right to the point where he releases the ball, you take a step in and settle. So you're on your toes, ready to go left, right, forward, back. Reyes just kind of stands there in a straight up position, and sometimes on his heels. You never want to be on your heels.
Giambi takes one in tight, and it's 2-1.
And as an infielder, Keith, doesn't it just feel better the closer you are to the ground, the more ready you are, it seems, for those ground balls?
Yes, I agree.
Well, the other piece of that is when you're 19, 20 years old and you have the quickest reactions you're ever going to have, maybe you can get away with something that you can't when you get a little older. And I'm not saying Reyes is getting old, he's 25 for goodness sakes. But at some point, does he have to change in deference to the fact that, you know, he's not 19 years old anymore?
But those are bad habits that you start early that need to be corrected when you're young, Gary. So just because you can get away with them at an earlier age, if you've got the proper fundies, it's going to carry you a lot further.
I guess the question is, at this point, is it possible for him to change? And
yes,
and
if someone
be in a different position.
Someone really has to stay on him. I mean, Hanley Ramirez is very much the same way. Hanley Ramirez from the Marlins stands straight up and is not in a position to field the ball, much like Jose has been doing lately, standing more erect instead of getting down that crouch position ready to go.
Where have you gone, Cookie Rojas? He would be a guy that makes sure that you got in that position.
Yep.
Well, Sandy Alomar would be the guy here now. 3-1 to Giambi, and it's outside ball 4, and the Yankees have 2 men on. Second walk given up by Pelfrey.
Well, this is going to be one of those Yankee Stadium kind of games, I think. Just a lot of pitchers can put themselves a lot of stressful situations with the short porches to deal with and left-hand hitters.
And a general Yankee theme with their offensive lineup. If they take a lot of pitches, they try to work walks. They wait for that big swing.
Well, we're going to see Jose here. We're not, beating a dead horse here, but this is a good shot right here, a 2-shot to show you. And let's see how Jose is ready to field a ground ball once the ball's out of Pelfrey's hand.
Jorge Posada, the batter, struck out his first time up, tying run at second in a 3-2 game. And Posada hits it off the end of the bat. Reyes going out. In comes Beltran sliding. Can't get it. It lands behind him, and the bases are loaded. A pop fly single for Posada.
Well, just 2 of these off of Pelfrey so far. That's cost him runs. A-Rod in the first. And nice effort there by Beltran, but just can't get there.
When you always talk about Yankee Stadium, Keith, you always talk about the short porch. What never anyone talks about is because the outfielders play so deep here, there's so many of those blue pits drop in.
Well, we had one in the first inning that A-Rod hit that landed beyond Castillo's reach. Then Giambi's broken bat single that fell into left, and now Posada hitting one just beyond the reach of Beltran. So now the base is loaded with 1 out. Mets cling to a 3-2 lead in the third, and here's Robinson Cano, who doubled to left center his first time up. Mets in at the corners, and Cano takes one in tight.
Well, he hit that double in the left center field the first at bat on that sinker, low and away, and there's Snyder right there calling in. Pelfrey still wants the ground ball here. It's an ideal situation. I used to just bring my knives and forks to the plate when I had this kind of situation off a right-hand sinker ball pitcher, because he wants that ground ball.
And again, he stays inside and misses. It's 2-0.
Well, he needs a strike now. The bases are loaded. What's his bread and butter? Sinker, low and away. He's tried to throw 2 fastballs inside. He's fallen behind. Let's see where Snyder steps up.
Hits it hard to short. Diving stop by Reyes. Out at second. The relay not in time. The game is tied, but Reyes makes a superb play to force Posada for the second out as A-Rod scores to tie it at 3.
Well, good hitting by Cano, just trumped by the play of Reyes there. What a beautiful play. This is nothing but trouble right there. 2 runs in. Beautiful backhand.
And a good effort by Castillo trying to turn it over on the low throw.
Reyes gets a much better break on that ball. More in a position to field. Almost threw it away. So a seesaw affair here.
2 runs home here in the bottom of the third. Game tied at 3. Runners at the corners with 2 out for Wilson Benjamin. And he grounds one down to third. Tough play for Wright. He barehands it and then loops the throw across the diamond. Not in time. And the Yankees take the lead. Quite an effort by Wright, but no chance to get Benjamin as Giambi comes home with the go-ahead run.
Well, a bit of a risky play here at barehanding it by David. I kind of question that. Beautiful hands. And he had no other play to get the out but to throw on the run like that. But even a howitzer wouldn't have gotten this one in.
So Bateman with the infield hit, and the Yankees have 3 runs home in the bottom of the 3rd and lead 4-3. 2 on and 2 out, and Justin Christian, the number 9 hitter, who grounded out to Castillo his first time up. He thinks about a bunt, which would be a terrible play, and he takes a strike.
It's interesting. You see the approach, second time through the order off Pelfrey with the left-hand hitters going the other way. You saw Betterman really going down the line, and of course Cano with a bullet to the right center field, the left center field that Reyes made the great play on.
Pelfrey is about to throw his 60th pitch, and almost all of them have been thrown under stress. This is now the Yankees' 12th at bat in this game with runners in scoring position in the first 3 innings. And it's taken for a strike. The Yankees are now 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position in the game. Cano at second and Bateman at first with 2 out. One-two to Christian, and it's in there for a call, strike 3, and the inning is over. 5 strikeouts for Pelfrey, but the Yankees score a 3 and grab the lead for the first time today. We go to the 4th. Yankees 4, Mets 3. 4th inning, the Mets come to bat against Dan Geis, trailing now 4-3. Carlos Beltran's 2-run homer put the Mets in front in the top of the 3rd, but the Yankees scored 3 in the bottom of the 3rd. And Marlon Anderson takes ball 1. Anderson walked his first time up. Yankees with 7 hits, the Mets with 4.
Looks like one of those American League games.
Yeah, the only problem is those American League games that last 4 hours.
Yeah.
It might be tough to make that 8:10 start at Shea tonight.
I know. I was gonna take the train in between games. That will stop that. I'll be on the bus with you guys.
With the police escort.
Is that what's going to happen? Nice.
We're in Brezhnev's lane.
Well, Keith, you said you were going to take the subway here today. Did you actually?
Yes, I took.
How was that?
It was great. I mean, I'm right by the Grand Central. Just jump on the 4 and right on up to Yankee Stadium.
Any Yankee fans give you a hard time?
They never do. They're always very, very polite.
Slowly hit down to A-Rod. And he throws out Anderson one away. Let's check in for the first time today with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, guys, how you doing? You know, it's funny, Gary, you were mentioning the story about Dan Geis and his night last night. So bizarre that he goes to the airport, told one thing, goes to get something to eat, misses his flight, and he's back at the ballpark. And maybe he could have pitched if that game resumed. I was talking to Jabba Chamberlain today. He said, it's kind of like a bad movie. I saw him early. He said goodbye. And later in the clubhouse, I see him again. I said, hey, stay hot, Dan. But I had a conversation with Jabba about his transition to being a starter, and it's gone pretty well. I mean, coming off his best outing, 114 pitches, 6 2/3 shutout innings against the Pirates. And he said the toughest thing really has been the routine as far as things like throwing the bullpen between starts, getting used to that good soreness. He's like, I didn't have to worry about that before. And I asked him about the mental side, guys. You know, he was such that fiery guy in the 8th inning. He said it really hasn't been a problem. You know, he said he knows, and he knew as soon as he made the transition that he couldn't throw 96, 97 right out of the gate. He had to save that for, you know, later 6th, 7th inning if he needed to. So he said the mental part, no problem. Really, it's just getting used to the routine, which has been a problem. Although you can argue there hasn't been any problem. The guy's been real good so far in his starting debut, guys.
And think where the Yankees rotation would be right now without Jabba Chamberlain.
Well, they had to have him because of, you know, Philip Hughes and Ian Kennedy just did not work out. They were supposed to be a main part of that rotation. Both struggled. Hughes injured.
Tatis went around, strike 3, didn't try to run, so Posada comes over and tags him. Obviously, Tatis thought he did not swing, but McClellan quickly said that he did, and Tatis made no effort to run.
It's just like, no, ask for help. Meat, get you hot. I'm sorry. That's not a good call. Ask for help. Ronnie, you probably have a different.
I don't. I have no problem with. I think that anything in the dirt like that that's close, that the home plate umpire should go to the first base umpire.
Schneider popped up to short his first time up. Came up with runners at first and third. Couldn't get the run in. Well, you're talking about the young Yankee starters.
Ouch.
Hughes and Kennedy. There are their numbers. Schneider pops one foul off the third base side. And that goes in the crowd. And they're hoping to have Hughes back in August after the rib injury that he suffered. Kennedy, they're probably going to add back into the rotation fairly soon.
Well, they were expecting a lot from Hughes. He had a good year last year, and they were expecting for him to grow and big things from him, and it just did not work out.
They were expecting to get what Pelfrey's giving to the Mets, at least that kind of effort.
Schneider rips one foul.
You know, you were mentioning, Kevin reiterated that Dan Geis and his situation at the airport reminds me of Bruce Bereni when he was a pitcher for us. They wanted him to go see Dr. William Andrews. He jumped on the plane, he got off, and he was supposed to go to Columbus, Georgia. Got there, waiting for his car, called Jay, said there's no car there. He was in Columbus, Ohio. Went to the wrong state.
That's a problem.
Oh, goodness.
How was his elbow?
Bruce had great stuff. Just blew his arm out. And
breaking ball fouled off. I mean, that's just time when, you know, you got the bad elbow. You don't want to be renting a stick shift.
That's right. That's right. Unless you have English Drive.
That was the only.
I don't think they have that in Columbus, Georgia.
No, you're right.
Just a guess.
That was the only player that Frank Cashin came up to me and asked my opinion of him.
Schneider lifts one to center field.
Bruce Bereni, and I said, get him if you can. He's got great stuff.
Now Geis handed the lead for the first time, puts up his first 1-2-3 inning of the afternoon. As you look at the new Yankee Stadium to open next year, 4-3 Yankees lead. Well, tonight the scene will shift from the Bronx. Mets and Yankees will brave the traffic with a police escort, of course, and land back at Shea, where Pedro Martinez will be waiting, trying to get his season rolling. It's been a rough go of it for Pedro, but he'll pitch tonight against the Yankees at Shea, 7:30 the coverage on the CW11. Top of the batting order, Melky Cabrera leads off the home fourth and takes ball one from Pelfrey. Cabrera has struck out and flied to left. The Yankees scored 3 runs on 4 hits in the third to take the lead. Who was that?
I told Rusty to stay home.
Like John Belushi with a freight wig. But then it couldn't be. Line to center field, a base hit for Cabrera. So that's the 8th hit now off Mike Pelfrey.
Well, this is how you hit a sinker. It's a good spot. Looks like his sinker might be flattening out a little bit, Ronnie.
He doesn't have that good downward movement today. Both to Cabrera and Cano. Same pitch, almost same result.
So even though Pelfrey's had good stuff, nonetheless, he finds himself up against it again. He's been pitching virtually this entire game out of the stretch.
You have to watch out, Jeter. And when he gets a base hit to the right side on a pitch, next time up he'll look in, especially early in the count.
Oh, that's so smart.
And he drops down a bunt. Pelfrey off the mound quickly. And he throws out Jeter, who will probably get credit for a sacrifice.
Well, a very big thank you very much. If you're a Met fan, get him out of the way of the sac bunt.
Well, very interesting. Both clubs with the 7 runs on the board for the Yankees, 3 for the Mets. Playing a lot of small ball today. A lot of bunts for sacrifices. A lot of stolen bases. Taking extra bases.
7 runs and 12 hits in the first 4 innings.
I just wouldn't have wanted Jeter to do that. I would have wanted, if anything, put a hit and run on with him. He hit and run so well.
And his strength is hitting the ball to the right side.
So now Cabrera at second with 1 out. Bobby Abreu was walked and flied to left, 0 for 1. He scored a run today. Pelfrey's done a good job moving the lefties off the plate today.
He has, Gary, but he hasn't been able to throw it for a strike.
Yeah, that's the difference.
And that's the key. So you can sit there as a hitter and spit on it and know you're going to get ahead and then wait for the sinker and your count out over the plate and go right into left center field is what they've been doing.
But By moving their feet inside, does that have any effect at all in terms of keeping them off the sinker?
It does have effect early in the game, but once you've gotten yourself into the 4th or 5th inning and the left-handers know that he's thrown maybe 2 strikes inside, maybe 2 at the most, then you can just eliminate the inside corner.
It's called adjusting as the game progresses.
2-0 to Abreu. And he pulls one toward the hole. Nice stop by Tatis. And Pelfrey can't catch the throw. Cabrera takes the turn. Throw behind him, not in time. Well, Tatis made a terrific play to take a base hit away from Abreu, but Pelfrey reaching behind him couldn't snare the throw.
Well, one of the keys you like for your first baseman, even though he made this great throw, get on your feet, start running to first, and give him an underhand toss, which is much easier to catch. This one a little behind Pelfrey, who was at the race at Abreu, and then almost threw it away as Wright laid on the leg of Melky Cabrera.
Cabrera just got way too aggressive. Almost ran his team out of a ball game there. Out of the inning, excuse me. Looked like Wright fell on him and kind of gave him a little pain, tough love, but a little behind him on the throw.
But you got to make that play. I mean, that's not that tough a play, and Pelfrey's got to make it.
They have charged the error to Tatis.
Wow.
I don't like that.
No, it's an error by Pelfrey.
1st and 3rd and 1 out. Here's A-Rod. Check swing tapper. The runner at 3rd will have to hold. Pelfrey gets the out at 1st, so he gets a big break there on the check swing comebacker from A-Rod for the 2nd out.
Well, as a hitter, this drives you crazy. You got ducks on the pond, and you get a check swing, and you hit it right back to the pitcher. It's the one place. And you got to give credit there. He came right after him inside and tied him up.
So A-Rod disposed of, and now a huge batter for Pelfrey as he takes on Giambi with 2nd and 3rd and 2 out.
Yeah, but Giambi's been hot, but with Posada hitting behind him, you got to go after him.
Giambi today with a broken bat single to drive in a run and a walk. So a huge juncture in this game for Pelfrey, trailing 4-3 in the 4th. 2 runners in scoring position and 2 out. And Giambi takes up and away for ball 1. Now, how carefully do you work him here, Ronnie?
If I'm in this situation, I do not give him anything good to hit. If I walk him, I go after Posada. Giambi's the hotter hitter right now. I would not throw him a strike. I'd make him try to go out of the strike zone and get himself out.
Which he doesn't really do very
That's
much.
right.
Giambi's always been known for his eye. And he takes a strike on the inside corner. Pelfrey got one there.
That's what he needs to do. When Pelfrey learns to consistently throw that inside strike to a left-hand hitter, then it's going to open up the whole outer part of the plate for him.
He's about to throw his 70th pitch of the afternoon here in the 4th inning. And on 1-1, Giambi takes it in tight. 2-1.
I like the way Mike's throwing. I know he's not having a great outing here today. They've touched him up for 8 hits, and he's given up 4 runs. This is such an improvement of the Pelfrey we've seen over the last year and early this year.
He's competing.
That's what you love to see. I think early on, he's a very likable guy. I think he was trying to employ all the things he was learning from Rick, and it just wasn't at that point in the learning curve for him.
3-1 now to Giambi.
What I would love for him to work on this winter, and we're talking about the inside fastball for him. The one he throws is that sinker that starts at the player's hip and comes back over the plate. If he could learn a little cutter inside the lefties, it would really help him, because he wouldn't have to be perfect all the time. He could start it down the middle, work it on the inside part of the bat to the left-handed hitters.
And he walks Giambi. Now the bases are loaded for Posada. 3rd walk given up by Pelfrey, kind of a pitch around. And now a huge batter for him with Posada. First, Dan Warthen's going to take a trip to the mound. And it feels as though, from listening to Dan and to Mike, that Warthen and Pelfrey have probably bonded quicker than Warthen has with anybody else on this staff.
Yeah, I think that, Danny is, he's just a real good, easygoing guy. I think he gets his message across through a little humor. And I think he is perfect for a young pitcher early in his career because, to be yelled at or talked down to or whatever, it's very difficult for young pitchers to deal with. Dan has just a very likable personality. Very much like, Mel Stottlemyre, who just went through Shea. Very likable person.
It's the 4th inning of the game. This will be the Yankees' 14th at-bat with a runner in scoring position. They're 4 for 13 already. Cabrera at third, Abreu at second, and Giambi at first with 2 out. Posada, a strikeout and a pop fly single. 1 for 2. And he fouls off the first pitch fastball.
Well, that was the most important pitch of that at bat, getting strike 1. And he went right after him, Ronnie.
Yeah, the ball's up, though. He's going to want to get this next one down. See that ball about waist high? Luckily, it just ran enough outside to get on that outer part of the bat of Posada.
Cabrera was trying to fake down the line at third to catch Pelfrey's attention, with Wright playing a bit off the line. Posada takes it low and away. 1-1.
I think the pitch I'd like to stay away from with Posada, Keith, would be that little slider he throws down and in. That is where Posada lives. He loves that pitch.
Well, Posada's a low ball hitter, too, from the left side of the plate.
Went for the fastball away, and now it's 1-2.
And that was ball 2. Ball rims away out of the strike zone.
Well, people tend to forget that a pitcher gets anxious when he has the bases loaded. So does the hitter sometimes.
And Warthen on the phone to the bullpen. Pelfrey 1 pitch away from getting out of this jam. 1-2 to Posada. And it's 2-2.
Not a bad try right there, 1-2, to see if he go fishing for that same fastball, Ronnie.
Yeah, I think though is the 4th fastball he's thrown outside. Has to throw something inside here to try to surprise Posada.
This will be Pelfrey's 80th pitch of the afternoon. 2-2. Hit to right field. Nixon over. Side retired. Pelfrey does a great job. Single, error, walk, and he works himself out of a bases-loaded jam to keep it a 1-run game. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Sovereign Bank, America's neighborhood bank. Brooklyn baseball has begun. Get your tickets at Keyspan Park online at brooklyncyclones.com by calling 718-507-TIXX or at Shea. Get your Cyclones tickets now. Jose Reyes leading off the 5th inning. Thinks about that slug bunt and takes ball 1.
We're kind of plodding away here. We're in the 5th now, and
well,
there's a quick reminder for the folks that the Yankees have no left-hander in their bullpen. So yeah, I gotta believe against the Mets, you've got to have a left-hander out there.
And the Mets have right-hand hitters on their bench like Easley and Castro, and the newest Met, Andy Phillips. Reyes has struck out and hit a comebacker 0 for 2. Dan Geis working with a 4-3 lead, and he falls behind Reyes 3-0. There's Andy Phillips. There's Dave Magadan's old number 29. Reyes will take one here. It's down the middle for a strike, 3-1.
Hey, he was there before the game.
First squirrel sighting of the day.
It's Rocket J Squirrel.
Where's Moose?
He's right behind third base there.
Reyes pulls it foul. Is he from Frostbite Falls?
He's just a baseball fan.
He's flying.
Well, this ballpark's got to be beautiful for a squirrel. Lots of nuggets here on the ground.
3-2 to Reyes. And he walked him.
Yeah.
So the Mets have the tying run aboard with Reyes. And his 27 stolen bases.
And there's certain times you just got to take your chances.
Yep.
I mean, you just can't nibble.
Throw it down the middle and hope he gets himself out.
By the way, Reyes is now just 20 stolen bases away from Mookie Wilson's franchise record of 281 steals.
Wow.
So that's a mark he'll probably break sometime this year.
It's getting close to Mookie's triple mark, too, isn't he?
Only it's 2 more to tie Mookie in triples. So let's see how quickly he runs with Castillo at the plate. Not on the first pitch as Castillo takes a strike. Louis has walked and singled and stolen a base each time. His first multiple stolen base game this season.
I tell you what, the way he takes so many pitches, you can surprise a lot of people putting a hit and run on. Trying to throw Louis a fastball, he can punch it right to left field.
Mets have played 6 straight games, 2 hours and 45 minutes or less.
Not today.
Not this one.
Not against the American League. Yankees.
Yankees start to get the bullpen working as Reyes takes his lead. Not going. It's a pitch out. And it's 1-1.
The ex-catcher Joe Girardi 0 for 2 now in pitch outs.
Would he pitch out twice in a row?
Wow.
Edward Ramirez up in the Yankee bullpen. Reyes takes an extra half step on his lead. Not going, and another pitch out. So he did call 2 in a row, and Reyes wasn't going either time. Would you go for 3? They're watching me. I can see they're watching me.
There he goes.
Reyes runs. Posada's throw on a hop, not in time. Reyes has his 28th stolen base, and the Mets have the tying run in scoring position with nobody out.
Well, Keith and Gary, I can see why he's calling pitch outs, because he's trying to protect his catcher. Posada, coming off that injury, just not throwing with any velocity down there to second base. Good breaks, able to look back in. Easily safe.
Posada has now thrown out just 6 out of 30 this year. That's 20%. So now the Mets are a base hit away from tying the game. 3-1 the count to Castillo with David Wright on deck. And Castillo takes ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Tim McClellan got you again.
Oh, the board said 3-1. I'm sorry. My mistake. 3-2.
See if Castillo can pull this ball to the right side, try to get a base hit. If not, advance the runner.
And that's ball 4. So the Mets have 2 men on. 4th walk given up by Geis. As Edward Ramirez continues to warm in the bullpen. Dave Island, the pitching coach, heads out to the mound to talk it over with Geis. Well, Joe Girardi knew that this was not going to be an easy day for him as far as managing his pitching.
Well, that's the problem, right, Gary? In the first game of a doubleheader, you always want your starter in the first game to give you some length so you don't have to go to that bullpen so early. But what can you do? This is a 31-year-old rookie who's spent career minor leaguer pitching in this big interleague matchup.
Well, the only way Girardi can look at it is that it could have been a whole lot worse. They could have had to finish the game last night, which Geis would have finished, and he would have had to throw up his hands for a starter today. So here's Wright, 1 for 2, drove in a first inning run with a base hit, and Geis throws inside for ball 1.
Well, first sign that your pitcher is in trouble is when he is a control pitcher, has to get by on control, and he's walked the first 2 hitters of the 5th inning. You know he's in trouble.
I would have given him a hook.
Yep.
This is only his second professional start, and he's about to throw his 95th pitch. And the slider in for a strike, 1-1.
Well, he needs a double play. That would be a gift from the gods for him.
Okay, it's working with a 4-3 lead and trying to get through the 5th inning. He's got Beltran to follow, and Beltran took him deep his last time up. 2 on and nobody out. And Wright lines one into left field for a base hit. Reyes will be held at third by Luis Aguayo as it gets out to Christian quickly. And the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out. So David Wright has his second hit of the day, and the Mets are poised to try and tie or take the lead.
Well, it's the same pitch he threw in the first inning. That Wright hit for a base hit.
That's going to be all for Dan Geis. Joe Girardi on his way to the mound, and he'll bring in Edouard Ramirez to face Beltran with the bases loaded and nobody out here in the 5th inning, with the Yankees clinging to a 4-3 lead. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. Switch to Verizon Fios, TV, Internet, phone. Tomorrow on an all-new Jets Nation, Leon Washington joins the crew in the studio for an exclusive interview, plus how the team MVP should be utilized in 2008. Jets Nation, all-new episode tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. only on SNY. Dan Geis in his second big league start, done after 4 innings plus, and now he'll watch as Edouard Ramirez takes over.
Well, Edouard Ramirez is one of their strong points in that bullpen. Throws 95 miles an hour and has a great changeup. Probably what he'll try to use to retire Beltran.
Bases loaded and nobody out, and Beltran grounds the first pitch to second. It'll tie the game. Jeter's relay not in time as Reyes comes in to score the tying run. So they get the force on Wright for the first out of the inning. Beltran drives in his 3rd run of the game, his 54th of the year, and the game is tied 4-4.
Well, the first pitch changeup, nice turn by Cano, and Jeter with this wide throw. Good play by Betterman just to get a glove on it. Jumping on that first pitch is Beltran. Nice job by Wright getting in as far as possible into Jeter, making that throw first a little tougher.
So now the go-ahead run is at third with only 1 out, and Carlos Delgado will try and get him in. Delgado has flied to center and struck out. He's now hitless in his last 16 at bats. And maybe Beltran will try and swipe one here to get that double play out of order.
Now would be a good time to do it, yes.
Something Jerry Manuel has been talking about, having Beltran be more aggressive on the bases.
And you know, you got a situation where you got a pull hitting Delgado, but he's such a double play possibility. Yes, if he gets a jump, do take it.
Beltran with 11 steals on the year. He's been caught only once. Ramirez paying him plenty of attention.
And Jerry said some interesting things. He was cognizant of the steal percentage, stealing bases percentage for Carlos Beltran, and he was like, matter of fact, said, I honestly don't mind if he runs into some outs sometimes, because then he's being more aggressive, better for the team.
Delgado watches outside the changeup, 1-0. You see the numbers for the year for Carlos. The last I looked, Ian Kinsler had actually passed him by for the all-time stolen base percentage lead, somewhere in the 88% range. 1-0 to Delgado, and Carlos takes outside and low, 2-0. Rod Nixon on deck. Edouard Ramirez, who signed originally with the Angels, who twice released him before he finally hit his stride, made his big league debut last year. Now 27 years old.
Well, you'd have to think that Carlos has got to get a fastball here, 2-0. Turn it up a notch.
There goes Beltran. It's ripped into right field for a base hit, and the Mets take the lead. Castillo scores. Abreu can't cut it off. So Beltran turns third, and he will score. Delgado to second with a 2-run double, and it's 6-4 Mets. Big hit for Carlos Delgado.
Well, he gets ahead in the count, and that's the pitch he loves, out over the plate and down. and rips that down the right field line. I think Beltran scores even if he makes the play, Gary. Beltran just, he slowed up right there. He did not pick up the ball. It was a straight steal. Oh, boy, what graceful strides. And there it is. That's the pitch.
Down and away.
Delgado loves. Big hit.
That snaps an 0 for 16 in a big way. A 2-run double for Delgado, and the Mets lead 6-4. Trot Nixon takes a strike. The book is now closed on Dan Geis. 4 innings plus, 6 runs, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. So he's on the hook in this game. Delgado at second, still only 1 out in the inning, and Nixon takes it wide, 1-1. Mets led 1-0. Yankees tied it. Mets led 3-1. Yankees went ahead with 4 in the third. Mets have regained the lead now, 6-4. There have been some games over the course of this rivalry that have gone like this. There was a game at Shea back in 1999 where the Yankees hit 6 home runs. The game went back and forth, and the Mets finally won it in the bottom of the 9th off Rivera on a Matt Franco hit. The last time these two teams played a 2-stadium doubleheader, the Mets in the 2 prior 2-stadium doubleheaders have been swept both times. As Nixon chases a pitch out of the strike zone in 2000 and again in 2003. In 2003, the second game was at Shea. The Yankees took a 9-0 lead, and the Mets got within 9-8.
Wow.
Raul Gonzalez with a 2-run double off Mariano Rivera in the 8th before Rivera shut him down. These two teams have played some wild ones. And Nixon is fooled badly. And down swinging with the fastball. Second out of the inning.
Well, Trot is just really having a tough time, and there's a similar pitch, a running fastball like Pelfrey. Ran off the plate.
Nixon looks really in between right now, doesn't he? Out in front of the breaking ball and behind on the fastball.
So now 2 out. Marlon Anderson, the batter. Marlon has walked and grounded out, and again he's taking all the way on the first pitch. We saw that his first time up today.
By the way, Luis Castillo, 3 runs today, 2 walks on a base hit, 2 stolen bases. So he's been very much in the thick of the men offense here.
Well, fans tend to look at managers for the moves they make in the games. Sometimes the most important moves that managers make are between the games. And what Jerry did with Luis Castillo this past week appears to be paying big dividends right now.
Well, one of the reporters asked him in his team meeting today, was that a sign you were trying to give Luis Castillo? He said, yeah, and it was a pretty good one, wasn't it? He's pretty proud of himself.
Castillo today, 2 walks, a base hit, 2 steals, 3 runs scored. And he has been right in the middle of everything for the Mets, who now lead at 6-4. Still only the 5th inning. And another game tonight. 1-1 to Anderson.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to taking the train to see how long it would take me in between games to get over to Shea, but not going to be able to do that at this rate.
This game might not end till 7 o'clock.
Right.
The way it's going. And we haven't even talked about the possibility of rain.
Well, yeah, don't go there, Gar.
And by the way, this is not yet an official game. Remember, the Yankees got rained out last night in the 3rd inning with a 3-1 lead in Pittsburgh. Rain in Pittsburgh? Can you believe that? It always rains in Pittsburgh. 2-1 to Anderson, and it's wide, ball 3. Fernando Tatis waiting on deck. The Mets are 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position so far today. So there have been 23 at bats already with runners in scoring position in this game in 5 innings. That's wild. That's a lot of stress for your pitchers. taking all the way on 3-1.
Interesting game plan for Marlin, who at times one of his problems can be very aggressive because he takes that pinch hitting mentality when he starts a game, which is don't let a fastball pass early in the count.
Maybe this is something he's been working on with Howard Johnson, trying to get his bat going. Marlin with his 0 for 1 today, hitting a .195 for the year. Had a stint on the disabled list because of a hamstring problem, and has never really found his groove. And Tim McClellan and Jorge Posada having a conversation. And Jorge making sure not to turn around.
Well, I think what happened there is that Posada's angry that Marlon Anderson is stepping out of the box. His pitcher Ramirez was ready to deliver the pitch and had to stop. Posada letting McClellan and Anderson know. The toughness I mentioned before.
3-2 to Marlin. And he rolls over 1 to second. Cano makes the play. And that ends the inning. But the Mets regain the lead, scoring 3 runs. They tied it up, and then Carlos Delgado ripped a double to drive home 2. And the Mets lead at 6-4 halfway through in the bronze. The 1-0 to Piazza, and a high fly ball, deep left center, forget it! That is long, long gone, deep into the night, beyond the left center field bleachers. A monumental home run off the bat of Mike Piazza. 8-7, the Mets lead it. Piazza putting on a show. Yes, one of those Mets-Yankees games of note.
Well, it wasn't a double out of here, but that was one heck of a call. I don't know who was calling that game.
How they transposed radio onto TV. I don't know how they did that. Robinson Cano pops it up on the right side of the infield, and Mike Pelfrey gets a rare quick out. That's the first out of the bottom of the 5th. You see the history of the Subway Series. The Mets have a chance in this game to win their 3rd straight from the Yankees, and that's as many in a row as the Mets have won in this series. Of course, they swept a series from the Yankees at Shea Stadium in 2004. They swept the abbreviated 2-game series earlier this year, and they lead this game 6-4 in the 5th as Wilson Betemit takes a strike. Betemit had an infield hit to drive in the go-ahead run for the Yankees in the 3rd. They led 4-3 before the Mets responded with a 3-run 5th, giving Pelfrey the lead for the 3rd time today. And Betemit fouls it off 0-2. It's very strange to say this in a game in which Pelfrey's given up 8 hits and 4 1/3 as you look at Mariano Rivera taking a stroll. But Pelfrey's actually pitched pretty well today.
Yeah, I mean, he's given up some tough hits, but really important here. After the Mets had scored 2 in the 3rd, he gave up a 3 spot. He needs to put up a 0.
Grounded out to second. Tough hop, and it goes right by Castillo. And Betemit is aboard. Now that ball came up on Castillo at the last moment, and he couldn't stop it.
Just got a little loose with the glove there. Didn't really get in front, Gary, and that's just... He gets in front, but not in complete. Tough hop there.
Well, he's saying he's playing that off his right foot instead of right in the middle, right?
Yeah, but he's not moving well laterally with that legs that he has. And that's just a tough hop right there.
Second error of the game for the Mets. Tatis was charged with one in the last inning that more properly should have gone to Pelfrey. In any event, the tying run comes to bat. Justin Christian has been overmatched his first 2 times up in just his 3rd big league start. He's grounded out and taken a call 3rd strike. And he tries to bunt, pops it up. It hangs in the air, and Wright gets to it. 2 out.
Well, he tried the bunt last time up with guys on 1st and 2nd base. 2 outs. This one another just bad bunt here. Good hustle by Wright.
So Pelfrey gets an easy out. He's thrown only 4 pitches in this inning, and now will face Melky Cabrera with 2 out and a runner at first. Cabrera 1 for 3. Single to left center his last time up. So 4th time around the batting order, and we're in the 5th inning for the Yankees. Pelfrey's pitch count for the afternoon up to 86 on the day. Not the kind of ball strike ratio he'd like. And now he falls behind Cabrera 2-0. Derek Jeter waiting on deck. Makes this an essential batter for Pelfrey. And there's a strike, 2-1. Wright, playing even with the bag, has to respect Cabrera's speed. Fouled away, and it's 2-2.
You're saying Melky Cabrera is what, 22 years old,
23,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's given them some defensive stability in center field. I mean, first you had Bernie Williams and then Johnny Damon, guys who just were not capable of covering the ground out there.
Yeah, that was a problem. You know, when they signed Johnny Damon, they knew that what kind of offensive player they were getting. They thought they had signed a center fielder for years to come, but could not cover enough ground.
Just missed. It's 3-2 to Cabrera. So Damon, who's been battling a foot injury the last few days, either playing left field or DHing, or in this game sitting on the bench. 3-2. Bennett will be on his way. Payoff to Cabrera, and he watches it, ball 4. And the Yankees have 2 men on, and Jeter coming up. 4th walk given up by Pelfrey. And that's a disappointing at bat for Mike Pelfrey. And that gets Dan Worthen back on the phone. And the Met bullpen is going to spring to life with the tying runs on base, and Jeter stepping in. And Worthen's going to take a trip to the mound to buy some time for that bullpen.
Yeah, you're right about that. This trip is just to go out there to get the relievers up, gives them a chance to get warm. Feliciano just getting to the ball now.
You know, I was looking back at the box scores from the last time these two teams played a split stadium doubleheader in '03. In the afternoon game, the starting pitcher for the Mets was a kid named Jeremy Griffiths, who lasted just 3 innings plus, gave up a grand slam to Hideki Matsui. And you know who came out of the bullpen that day? Pedro Feliciano, to throw 5 innings of long relief.
Wow.
Now, times have changed.
Yes.
So now Feliciano, 5 years later, is up in the Yankee Stadium bullpen again.
Feliciano was a different kind of pitcher then, too, right? He didn't throw from the side as he does now.
Right, a little more 3/4. So here's Jeter, tying runs on base. Bateman at second, Cabrera at first.
Well, this will be his last man. It's a matter of getting a W, leaving the game as a pitcher of record, or he'll get a hook if he gives up a base hit here.
Jeter has struck out, double to right, and sacrificed 1 for 2. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Good pitch by Pelfrey to start him off. You see Jeter's all-time numbers moving up on all those Yankee all-time lists. He might have all of those by the time he's done. And boy, has he killed the Mets. Taken outside 1-1. I always say that, you know, people talk about game 1 of the 2000 World Series. I always go to game 4.
Yeah.
Because the Mets had won game 3 to cut it to 2-1. Bobby Jones, who had been brilliant that postseason, first pitch of the game in game 4, Jeter hits it out of the ballpark, and to me that was the end.
Yeah.
Right there. One to Jeter. Dribbler, tough play if it stays fair, but it goes foul. Schneider snatches it. 1-2 to Jeter. And just to document what Jeter has done against the Mets. Look at that.
Wow.
All-time
Rico Carty,
highest batting average against the Mets. Higher than Tony Gwynn, higher than Rico Carty.
I helped a lot with the Tony Gwynn number, by the way. Tony hit almost 500 off me for my career. To tell you how long Derek Jeter has been doing his thing here, There was a game in 1995. He was playing in one of his first few games at shortstop. The starting pitcher that day for the Yankees was Mariano Rivera, and the starting pitcher for the Oakland A's was me. That tells you how long he's been doing what he's been doing.
1-2 to Jeter. Tight, and it's 2-2. Do you know that every Yankee in the lineup today has had at least one at bat with runners in scoring position? They're 4 for 14 in this game with runners in scoring position.
There's Mariano right there. That's why it's 4:21 right now. We're not out of the fifth inning.
He never looks ruffled, does he?
It's not his time yet.
Doesn't look ruffled when it is his time. Jeter hits it foul. Bobby Abreu on deck. Well, I think at this point it's acknowledged by just about everybody that there's never been a better closer than Mariano Rivera.
I agree, and I had played with Bruce Sutter. He's lasted longer. He's obviously had more postseason chances. He's been brilliant in postseason.
And he's been incredible this year. 2-2 to Jeter. Fouled at the plate. And every time it looks like there might be a crack in the armor for Rivera, he bounces right back with 20 straight saves.
He's got the unhittable pitch. I mean, he throws that cutter that only moves about, what, 4, 5, 6 inches, but it's late.
It's not unhittable. You can hit it, but if you hit it on your fingers.
That's right.
Don't get a lot of good hits off your fingers. Pelfrey taking his time here.
It's a good little battle here. Big part of the ball game.
Let's see if he tries to throw that two-seamer down and into Jeter.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat. And Jeter hits it off the fist down to first. Tatis makes the play, and Pelfrey works out of another jam. 5 runner-filled innings for Pelfrey, but he emerges from it with a 6-4 lead. Edouard Ramirez begins his 2nd inning of relief as we go to the 6th inning. The Mets with a 6-4 lead. Fernando Tatis is 1 for 2. Had an infield hit in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. And Ramirez comes inside 1-0. The starter Dan Geis went 4 innings plus, allowed 6 runs and 5 hits. He's on the hook, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Ramirez came in, gave up the 2-run double to Carlos Delgado that gave the Mets this 6-4 lead. Mets have been out hitting the game 8-6, but they lead at 6-4. I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher face fan almost completely fell on the field. I've never seen a pitcher go through 5 innings, face 15 at bats with runners in scoring position, and come out the other end with a lead. But that's what Pelfrey's done today.
Well, the Yankees have left 10 men on base in the first 5 innings.
Tatis lifts one to center. Cabrera had trouble with the sun at first, now tracking it. And that's the first down. 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Oh, guys, the difference in this game, Carlos Delgado's 2-run double, and I was talking to Howard Johnson before the game. He said it's been very hard. The hardest thing with Delgado is that he's had spurts like he did on the recent road trip where he's gone on fire, and then he's kind of gone into the tank, so it's been hard to figure out. He said the best advice that I'm telling him, and he'll admit this too, is that, you know, when he's going well, he's seeing the ball well, and he's hitting pitches that he wants to hit, as he did on the double. Keith, you talked about it. He said when he's not, he's trying to make every pitch into a hittable pitch. He's been such a big difference. He's just got to have the discipline on that double. He certainly did.
Well, I think that this has been ongoing now for, what, a year and a half or so. And I think that someone that's had as much, it's almost like all of his success that he's had and the history of his play has worked against him.
Absolutely. But I think that happens to a lot of hitters who get a little older, lose some of their skills. Is that the things that always came so easily to them are so much more difficult now.
And you don't want people telling you, right, Keith, that you can't do a certain thing anymore. I mean, it makes you even more stubborn sometimes.
Schneider swings and misses the changeup, 1-2.
Your brain doesn't tell you that your brain is seeing things that you should kill, and it doesn't tell you that the body can't do it anymore. It's a bitter pill to swallow.
1-2 to Schneider, who's 0 for 2 today, and he fouls it back.
You know, for myself personally, at the end of my career, I remember when I left the Mets and went over to Oakland, Dave Duncan did something that really played with my mind. I think it helped. When I came over there, he said, remember that guy that pitched in the 1986 World Series, Ron Darling? I said, of course I do. He goes, well, you can forget about him. He's no longer around. We got to teach you new skills. And it really helped.
And Schneider lines one into right field, and Abreu will play it on a hop. And Schneider has his first hit of the day. Mets 7th hit of the afternoon. Time for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game update. Let's go to Matt Yellow.
Pedro Martinez gets the start in Game 2. He takes his 11-10 lifetime record against the Yankees to the mound at Shea. Last time he faced them was back in '06. The well-traveled and well-fed Sidney Ponzone gets the ball for the Yankees in his second go-around in the Bronx.
All right, Matt, 8 o'clock game tonight, if this one's over by then. 1 out and 1 on. Here's Reyes, who walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the 5th. 0 for 2 on the day. And Reyes takes it wide from Ramirez, 1-0.
Well, we do have a game going on this afternoon, right, Gary? The Chicago White Sox and the Cubs.
I'm confused. Why are they playing a 3 o'clock Central Time start at Comiskey or U.S. Cellular?
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe they're just trying to replicate the afternoons that they have at Wrigley Field.
White Sox leading 1-0 in the second. Reyes takes it on the corner at the knees, 1-1. Reyes scored his 58th run in the 5th inning. He has been rocketing up the top 10 in the National League in runs scored. He's now up to 4th. He wasn't even in the top 10 2 weeks ago. But he's been getting on and he's been getting in. 2-1. He's been a little more patient at the plate lately. And his numbers, Reyes's, over the last 6 weeks have been splendid. On 2-1, Jose watches wide, and it's ball 3.
They're killing your catchers games like this, huh? These poor catchers down there having a squat, the day game. A little muggy day, not terribly hot.
Well, and remember, this is a Yankee team that didn't take off from Pittsburgh till after midnight last night. Probably got to bed, most of them about 3 o'clock in the morning, and then came out here to play a day game. And Reyes draws a walk, and the Mets have 2 men on. That's 5 walks for Yankee pitching. Ross Ollendorf now up in the bullpen. There's your Sovereign Bank 6th inning recap. The Mets have had 3 separate leads in this game. The most recent one on Delgado's 2-run double in the 5th. The Yankees have had oodles of opportunities, but they've stranded 10 in the first 5 innings against Mike Pelfrey, and the Mets now looking to tack on to their 6-4 lead. With Luis Castillo, who's had a big afternoon already, on base 3 times with a single and 2 walks. He's scored 2 bases and stolen 2 bases and scored 3 runs. And Dave Island will pay another trip to the mound.
You know, Dave Island, who was really named the pitching coach because of their young pitchers, Chamberlain, Kennedy, and Hughes, of course, who he worked with down in minor leagues. Ron Guidry, of course, let go. Boy, he had some good years here, didn't he, Ron Guidry?
It's John Chamberlain who's made the adjustment this year to starting, but it really has left the Yankee bullpen in a situation where they've had to count on other guys. And Kyle Farnsworth hurt his hand the other day. That shortens up their bullpen. They think Farnsworth should be able to pitch this weekend, but he had to get some stitches in his pitching hand. So here's Castillo with 2 aboard, and he takes a fastball for a strike. By the way, Castillo 3 runs scored today. If you're thinking Met record, it's a tough one. 6 runs scored.
Wow.
Edgardo Alfonso, that 6-hit, 3-home run game he had in Houston. I don't know why you guys always thought Houston, the Astrodome, was a pitcher's park. Fonzie didn't think so.
Oh, jeez.
Not that particular
Not
day.
that day. 6 runs, 6 RBIs. We had 16 total bases.
What's the most you had? You had 5 hits? You didn't have 6 hits. Did you ever
I
have a
had
game?
5. I had a 5 for 5.
Yeah.
I think I had 2. I know I had 1.
0-2 to Castillo. And he takes the changeup for ball 1.
You had 5 hits in that 19-inning game, didn't you? The one in Atlanta?
He hit for the cycle.
You hit for the cycle.
I think I had 1 in San Diego. 5 for 5 in San Diego in '85. I could be wrong.
That was a great place to hit, San Diego.
I loved San Diego. Jack Murphy.
1-2 to Castillo. Fastball just off the corner, and it's 2-2. Edward Ramirez in his second inning of relief. He's given up a hit to Schneider, a walk to Reyes. And so Ohlendorf continues to throw. Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen. Pelfrey's thrown 98 pitches through 5, almost all of them under stress. As Castillo hits a comebacker, Ramirez gets the out at second. Jeter's relay not in time. Close play. But Castillo has been running well today. Beat it out.
Well, just not hit hard enough to double off Castillo. Pitcher does everything right. The perfect feed to Jeter. Nice slide to break up the 2 by Jose.
One shortstop kicking another in the head. So now David Wright gets an opportunity, and that's going to be all for Edward Ramirez as Joe Girardi pops out of the dugout, and he's going to bring in Ohlendorf to pitch to Wright. So David, who already has 2 hits and an RBI today, will come up with runners at the corners and 1 out. New pitcher coming in the game, Ohlendorf. We're in the 6th. Mets with a 6-4 lead. Mets and Yankees on the front end of a 2-stadium day-night doubleheader starting in the Bronx in the afternoon. And the Mets got off to a fast start, got an early lead. Yankees tied it. Beltran hit a 2-run homer. The Yankees tied it again. But the Mets undaunted, keep coming back. Carlos Delgado's 2-run double gave the Mets the lead they currently hold, 6-4, as they bat in the 6th inning. And the former Princeton Tiger, Ross Ohlendorf, takes over the pitching for the Yankees.
Well, Ohlendorf has struggled this season. You see that high ERA. He's given up 6 home runs in only those 38 2/3 innings. And the other thing, with 2 outs and runners on first and third, 6 wild pitches. That leads the Yankee staff.
So David Wright, who came back from the day off on Wednesday with a couple of home runs, came back from the day off today with 2 hits and an RBI. David now has 60 runs batted in for the season. First and third and 2 down. And David swings at the first pitch slider, 0-1.
Boy, an off-speed breaking ball first pitch. And, you know, whenever I was in a situation and they brought in a new pitcher, I always was first ball, fastball hitting. Boy, he just threw him a perfect slider. Don't want to get behind with a relief pitcher coming in. He's colder than you are.
Castillo at first has a couple of steals already today. Wright goes the other way and smacks it into right for a base hit. Schneider scores, and it's 7-4 Mets. David Wright with his 3rd hit and 2nd RBI in the afternoon. 61 runs batted in for the year. And the Mets now with a 3-run lead.
Slider, now a fastball trying to come in. Too much of the plate, and David going that way very nicely. Using that hole, first baseman holding the runner on. Just take advantage of it. Good hitting.
So the Mets, who broke out for 8 runs on Wednesday, have 7 runs and 8 hits today.
There's the contact there in that Coors Light freeze cam.
Here's Beltran, who's driven in 3 runs today, including a 2-run homer, and he takes it low. Beltran hit his 12th home run of the year, a 2-run shot in the 3rd. At the time, it gave the Mets a 3-1 lead. Then he drove in a run with a fielder's choice in the 5th, and that tied up the game at 4-4. Now he bats with the Mets leading 7-4. 2 on and 2 out. And it's taken wide, 2-0. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Wright, Beltran, and Delgado, have driven in all 7 runs for the Mets. Now Beltran in a great spot here, 2-0.
Seems like they can't get together with Posada. A lot of.
Well, this guy throws 96 miles an hour. I mean, what are you going to throw 2-0 other than a fastball? And of course, he throws a breaking ball. Got to be kidding me.
Well, it just gives you the idea that they don't believe in Delgado right now, that they're willing to pitch around Beltran with third base open. Posada moving away, and the 3-0 is on the corner, 3-1. Castillo's already scored 3 runs today. He's at second, right at first with 2 down. 3-1 to Beltran. Let's see what he gets here. Fastball to the inside corner, and it's 3-2.
Well, sometimes you don't get this pitch because he throws it away from the catcher. Posada sitting on the outside corner. That ball more on the inside corner. McClellan called it for a strike.
So now the runners get set to go. Castillo in right with 3-2 and 2 down. And Beltran takes it, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. That is 6 walks for Yankee pitching in inside of 6 innings. And now Delgado, who ripped a 2-run double his last time up to give the Mets the lead, gets another crack, this time with the bases full. That double for Delgado snapped an 0 for 16 streak. And now he has a chance for more. The Mets have a run home here in the 6th and lead 7-4. Castillo faking down the line from third, drawing Ohlendorf's attention. A-Rod playing way off the line against Delgado, who takes it up and in for ball 1.
Well, that's the pitch that Delgado's got to take, Gary. This has some plate, but he's been offering at that pitch, and that's the pitch he has trouble with. And look into your strength. Look into your zone down in the strike zone. Take upstairs. Easier said than done.
And now Ohlendorf again behind 2-0. And Joe Girardi is going to head to the mound. He doesn't worry about sending his pitching coach this time. He's got a message to bring.
Well, right here, just telling the young Ohlendorf, come on now. We got to throw strikes. This is the time that you have to compete. Got to get us out of this inning, get us back on the bench, scoring some runs. Can't pitch away from contact all the time. Sometimes you have to just go after the hitters. This is a time for it.
Well, this is the problem the Yankees have had now for more than a few years. They have not addressed their pitching woes.
Getting to Rivera. 2-0. Ball 3.
Well, I tell you what, I would give Delgado a hit sign here. Get a fastball, let him take a rip.
Yeah, you like that? I don't know. I think you got to let this young man prove he can throw a strike under the pressure, under the gun.
I take that back. The bases are loaded. I fell asleep. I thought there was a base open. It's easy to fall asleep in this game.
3-0 to Delgado. And there's a strike, 3-1. Should we get you some coffee or something?
I'm fine. I just
Red Bull.
Jeez. I feel like I'm back in A-ball again.
How are you going to be around 10:30 tonight? Bases loaded, 2 down, 3-1 to Delgado. Hit in the air to deep right center field. Forget it. That is way out of here. A grand slam for Carlos Delgado. Deep into the bleachers. The Mets' first grand slam since 2006. An enormous grand slam off the bat of Delgado. His 12th home run of the year. He has a 6 RBI day. And the Mets lead it 11-4. Rod Nixon takes ball 1. 12th grand slam of the career of Carlos Delgado. And he just crushed it.
Well, he got ahead in the count, had to come in with fastball, and he covered it. And that was a fastball down over the plate, right in his wheelhouse, and that's good to see.
The Mets had gone nearly 2 years without a grand slam since David Wright hit one in Colorado back in August of 2006. In that season of 2006, the Mets owned the grand slam concession.
Well, where's this? Oh, boy. Thank you. Down, hand, full extension, right where he loves it. And that's where he has to look into. That zone down there. And he knew he had. That ball was crushed.
It's the Ruthian home run hitting Ruth's place.
Where he hit that ball, you just don't see balls hit. A fan is run on the field, so they're going to have to delay play.
Go get him.
By the way, the 6 RBIs for Delgado ties his career high. The last time he had 6 RBIs in a game was for Toronto in 2003. And for Delgado also, it's his 443rd career home run, which puts him past Dave Kingman into 34th place by himself on the all-time list. Security is taking care of the fan who ran on the field.
We will not give him his 15 seconds of fame.
Well, he's not going to enjoy the rest of his day. I know that.
Well, what a way to break out for Carlos Delgado.
Just a huge afternoon. He had the go-ahead 2-run double in the 5th inning. And now breaks the game open with not just a grand slam, but you know, one of those home runs that makes you think, well, there's a lot left in that tank. 2-1 to Nixon, and he lifts one to center field. Melky Cabrera gives way to the left fielder Christian, and he makes the catch to end the inning. But Carlos Delgado putting an enormous charge into one. The Mets' first grand slam in nearly 2 years, and it went a long, long way. Middle of the 6th, the Mets now with an 11-4 lead. If you've been following the series, Pedro Feliciano will take over the pitching for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Mets now with a 7-run lead.
Pedro has not pitched in 3 days. His last outing was against Seattle. Gave up 3 hits and a run in an inning of work.
Well, Mike Pelfrey went 5 innings. The line says he gave up 4 runs, 8 hits, walked 4, struck out 5, which looks awful. But he did some stellar work here today.
Well, there were some errors made in the field. There were bloop hits. He was always constantly in trouble. Got those outs he needed to kind of, I don't know, how manage the inning at least. Manage his start.
I don't know if Elias can look this kind of stuff up. But 15 at-bats against him with runners in scoring position in 5 innings. And yet he gave up just the 4 runs and leaves with the lead. That's got to be something close to a record. And he is in line now for his 5th victory against 6 losses. It's like Wildlife Day at Yankee Stadium.
Animal Day.
Marlon Perkins, Mutual of Omaha.
I hope the pigeon doesn't meet the squirrel anytime soon. 1-1 to Abreu, and he fights it off. 1-2. I think we've got a Wild Kingdom episode in the making.
Yes.
They're just trying to entertain the folks.
Wait, we just had a seagull land near second base, or maybe it's another pigeon. There he is. It's a pigeon.
I didn't know they ate dirt.
They eat anything. Come on, they're pigeons. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Feliciano gets Abreu for the first down at the bottom of the 6th.
Nice pitch. Good slider here from Pedro. Starts that on the inside part. You see Abreu's that kind of swing he has. He pulls that front shoulder out. Left nothing behind. Good slider by Pedro. There you go, Keith. Kind of just like pulls out of the box, doesn't he?
Steps in the bucket. Yep. He's always been one not to stay in, but you know, this year he's hitting .308 against lefties.
So 1 out. Here's Alex Rodriguez, and that one goes to the backstop. A-Rod has 2 hits today. A pop fly single that fell just beyond Castillo's reach in the first, and then a hot shot that just got through Reyes to drive in a run in the third. Last time up, though, in a huge spot, runners at first and third and 1 out. Pelfrey got him on a check swing grounder back to the mound. That was really a turning point in Pelfrey's afternoon. Now, he had just made a poor play trying to catch a throw by Tatis at first base, but he came right back, made a tough pitch to A-Rod, and got that comeback. A-Rod lifts one to deep left center field. Beltran looking up, and that ball is gone. A long home run off the bat of Alex Rodriguez, his 15th of the year. What a shot into Monument Park. And that cuts the Mets lead to 11-5. A-Rod hits his 15th, and he hits him a long, long way.
Right down the pipe and down, and that's $3.99 right there, and that cleared that big time.
Went over the bullpen, and
that would not have been a home run in the old park, huh? That would have been probably a triple.
Might have been inside the front.
Yes. There it is right there. We're just really using that Coors Light freeze cam today. We had so many opportunities for that. We love it. Look at that, right on the button.
4th home run Feliciano's allowed this year. Giambi takes the breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. Giambi's been on base 3 times today. A broken bat single that drove in a run, and then 2 walks. Grounded to the right side. Great play by Tatis. And again, the pitcher can't catch the throw. How about that? Second time today that Tatis has made a brilliant stop, and neither time are they able to complete the putout.
Well, this is a better play by Tatis here in the field. This was a shot, and this throw is his error. He was charged with the error the other time, but it should have been charged to Pelfrey. That's a tough throw right there, Ronnie, for a pitcher. And he's out of position.
Well, you know what's pretty interesting is that if Tatis just goes to first base with the defensive alignment they had, that ball would have been a 2-hopper to Castillo.
There's the first one with Pelfrey.
Pelfrey should have made that play.
Well, again, the error is charged to Tatis, so he's made 2 great stops, and he's been charged with 2 errors. Now Posada, who's 1 for 3, and he takes ball 1.
That's the 3rd error charge to the Mets today.
The other one, that ground ball that bounced past Castillo.
Little PFC, Ronnie, in between doubleheaders. PFP, excuse me.
PFC, that's Gomer Pyle.
Yes.
1-1 to Posada. Robinson Cano on deck. Each team now with 9 hits. The Mets on the strength of Carlos Delgado's 6 RBIs have an 11-5 lead. There's a fastball for a strike. 1-2 to Posada.
Now, Mets have this big lead, but somehow don't you feel that this game is not even close to being done?
Not the way it's been played today. By the way, next game starts in 3 hours in Flushing. Maybe. 1-2. Breaking ball hit off the end of the bat, foul.
We're going to have to prepare for the second game while we're riding over there, I guess.
Let's just not even prepare and
No?
let it go cold turkey.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to have a choice.
No production, meaning
No opening. Let's just come right to first pitch.
do the open cold. No direction, no production.
You know, on Passover they say, why is this night different from all other nights? 1-2, fouled off. On a wing and a prayer. Giambi not being held on. Feliciano ahead 1-2, and Posada swings and misses, and Feliciano has his second strikeout of the inning.
Well, nice changeup here from Pedro. Bottom just drops out, no chance. Well placed changeup by Feliciano.
So 2 out, and now Robinson Cano. Cano doubled to left center back in the second, drove in a run on a fielder's choice in the third, and popped up in the fifth, 1 for 3. It is stunning where Robinson Cano's numbers have been for most of this season. As he takes ball 1.
You know, when they talk about Cano, they, you know, in the past they've always talked about he's a future batting champion kind of hitter.
That's a guy who had 306 last year, 19 home runs. He has struggled to get to 240 this year with 5 home runs. There's a fastball for a strike, and it's 1-1.
Is his dad a major league player?
Jose Cano played with the Astros.
Yep.
Dad named him after Jackie Robinson. Fastball taken high, and it's 2-1. There are times you watch Cano and he can just be a little lackadaisical, particularly in the field. But I don't know how that would affect the way he's swung the bat this year.
Well, I think that there's always a learning curve for a young player because the rest of the league starts to learn how to get him out.
Chopped over the mound, Castillo hustling in, quick toss, and he gets Cano as Tatis is able to stay on the bag, and that ends the inning.